Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The New York Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tuesday Night Baseball is courtesy of Fios by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Fios, the best way to watch your Mets all season long. Get the 100% fiber optic network. Visit getfios.com. By Honda, great deals are waiting at your Honda dealer. By the State Farm agent of the game, Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcawley.com. By Budweiser, the legendary lager for legendary moments. And by Papa John's, enjoy the quality pizza you've come to expect from your local Papa John's. Well, they say life is a beach, and never is that more apropos than here. Oh, come on, you can serve better than that. We need to get better volleyball players for our scene set. But it looks lovely on the beach today. A little boogie board. Maybe after. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Los Angeles. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Dodgers. You know, lost amidst the continued brilliance of Jacob deGrom, the heroics of Brandon Nimmo last night. Another three-hit game for Ahmed Rosario. We are seeing a big piece of the Mets' future blossom before our eyes.
You know, I think, Gary, a lot of times in the open, I spend much of it talking about his great numbers over the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I think what it's really taught me is I think it's really important for all of us to have patience when you're dealing with young players. This is a young man that came on the scene and struggled early, and after the All-Star break really kind of kicked it into gear, especially the energy. I don't think it helps that Juan Soto and Acuna and Albies have all been great, but you don't know where their career is going to go in the future either. All I know with Rosario is that he's gotten better and better each month, and that's very unusual for a young player.
5 3-hit games in the last 4 weeks. Sometimes you have to have patience with older players, too. Jason Vargas, for instance, 35 years old, has finally kicked his season into gear.
Well, he's pitching exactly how they thought he would pitch when they signed him to the 2-year contract. He's a guy that usually limits the damage. He's a guy that will always keep your team in the game, and that's how he's been his last 4 starts.
And Vargas is the youngster in tonight's matchup against 38-year-old lefty Rich Hill.
That's right. We got 73 years of pitchers here tonight. Hill, who's been everywhere, has found a home in Los Angeles, 21 and 15 in 50 starts.
Mets have had pretty good success against Hill. They'll try and keep that going tonight after snapping a 12-game losing streak against the Dodgers last night. Mets in LA. All the action coming your way on SNY. Spectrum. Hey, Mets fans looking for a game changer? Get Spectrum Internet with starting speeds up to 200 megabits per second. It's the fastest starting speed for the price. Visit Spectrum.com today. And by the bullpen jackpot sweepstakes from the New York Lottery. Go to sny.tv/New York Lottery to enter. Get to Citi Field for Free Shirt Friday this Friday, September 7th, when the Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets t-shirt courtesy of Ruby's Costume Company. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Their forward leaderboard, the Dodgers on pace to set a club record for home runs, a club record that they set last year. They've got 192, 9 ahead of the Brewers. The Mets, by contrast, 141 home runs this year, 11th in the National League. They tied for the league lead last year. Hollywood. Hooray for Hollywood. First pitch coming up. Last night didn't start against the lefty. He does start against the left-hander tonight. Ahmed Rosario stays in the leadoff spot. Austin Jackson in the 2-hole. Night off for Jeff McNeil. Kevin Plawecki in behind the plate. His first start as a father. And Rich Hill on the mound for the Dodgers.
Well, you see his Toyota numbers. They have not been great stops and starts because of blister issues. When you look at his numbers, a career, he's pitched for 8 different major league teams. He's pitched overseas. He's pitched on Long Island for the Ducks. He's done everything, but traded from the A's over with Josh Reddick in 2016. You see the defense, Brian Dozier, Machado. Turner started the season on DL, Machado in Baltimore, Dozier in Minnesota, Freese in Pittsburgh, Taylor, Hernandez, and Kemp in the outfield.
It's a very cosmopolitan team. Ahmed Rosario takes the first pitch outside, and we're underway. Rosario, a 6-game hitting streak, hitting .414 over the 6 games, has his on-base percentage up to a season-high .292. He'd love to get it to .300 before the end of the year. Hill falls behind him, 2-0. Few clouds overhead at Dodger Stadium. We're not used to seeing those. Usually they burn off in the morning. course, they don't call them clouds when they burn off in the morning. They call it the marine layer.
Marine layer. You can also hear this phrase, June gloom, but since we're in September, hard to use that phrase.
I mean, everywhere else in the world, they're called clouds. Pitch taken inside by Rosario, 3-1. But this is California. They reference things a little differently.
It's a special place, Gary, I'm telling you.
3-1 to Rosario. And he takes inside ball 4, so the rare leadoff walk for Ahmed Rosario. And he's aboard to start the night.
Hill came out of the game, I mean, no fooling, pitching so quickly, not taking any time in between pitches.
And throwing all fastballs in that first at bat. Of course, he's so widely known for his curveball, which he throws over 40% of the time. Here's Austin Jackson, 1 for 5 last night, hitting .301 as a Met. And Hill instantly has to pitch out of the stretch and checks in on Rosario, who's been stealing more bases the second half. He's up to 18 for the year.
It's freezing here, Gary.
That's a little cool. I brought my jacket. You're just jealous because you forgot yours back in your room.
That's true.
There's the first curveball from Hill in for a strike. I mean, I don't know if I would have gone with the hoodie necessarily tonight.
Well, you know.
It's, you know, it's 70 degrees, probably be in the 60s by the end of the game.
Everyone's a star here. You got to kind of hide sometimes from
Well,
the hoi polloi.
Could be it. You could wear sunglasses at night. 0-2 to Jackson with Wilmer Flores on deck. Last night was a cruel blow for the Dodgers after they beat Arizona 3 straight times to take over sole possession of the NL West lead. Their loss and Colorado's win last night over the Giants put the Rockies in first place, a half game up on the Dodgers. Arizona lost their 4th in a row and fell a game and a half behind.
It's really been their entire season, Gary. After the tough start, there has been up and downs for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Curveball, and Jackson held off 1 and 2. The Dodgers bidding for their 6th consecutive National League West title, and they were thought to be far and away the favorite when the year began, much as the Washington Nationals were in the East. But that's why they play the games, right? Here's the 1-2 coming, and Jackson raises his arms, 2-2. Jackson's never had a hit against Hill, 0 for 9 in his career.
So folks at home, you watch Hill, he's got a lot of different arm angles. Over the top, he'll throw some sidearm.
Two coming, and the curveball rolled slowly to short. Machado goes to second, gets a force there. Ball almost handcuffed Dozier, but they get the out. Jackson aboard with 1 out.
It's almost like Dozier expected Machado to give him a little easier toss because it was not hit so hard they would not be able to turn 2. But Machado put a little bit behind that throw, and it got into the midsection of Mr. Dozier.
So that's the first out of the night, and now Wilmer Flores. Wilmer 1 for 5 last night. He's in a bit of a skid right now, 4 for his last 28. He's playing second base today, second time on this road trip that he's been moved away from first, and he chases a fastball and fouls it back, 0-1. Wilmer's had some throwing issues recently, which have pretty much confined him to first, but now with Jay Bruce playing a lot of first, Dom Smith is here. Wilmer's going to have to play some other places.
He had a nice throw from first base to second base on a rundown yesterday that ended up in a double play.
See if maybe that points him in the right direction. Hill takes a lot of time to get the ball to home plate, and teams sometimes take liberties on him.
He doesn't have a great move either. You notice he doesn't really step over there, but since the beginning of my playing time, the way that right-handers and left-handers are judged as far as box to first base are completely different.
In other words, you say it's a lot easier to be a lefty.
Lefties get more leeway, absolutely.
Well, you mentioned he's pitched for 8 different teams and not all that much for any of them. He's had Tommy John surgery. He has had shoulder problems. He's had recurrent blister problems. In fact, Elias came up with this great number. Hill has worked 849 big league innings. He's 4 months older than CC Sabathia, who's worth 3,451 innings. Good curveball to get even on Flores, 2-2.
But Mr. Hill ended up with a nice payday. 3-year contract from the Dodgers. That's that big curveball, breaks down into the back foot.
Yeah, not too many guys get a 3-year contract starting in their age 37 season, but that's what Hill did. He's got 1 more year left on that deal next year. 3 years, $48 million. And the curveball bounced foul. That's the very slow curveball from Hill, and he'll throw a bunch of different ones.
He changed his speeds. We'll talk about it a little later, but he does something to me that no one else in baseball that I've known that's a left-handed curveball pitcher has done. Probably helps that his pitching coach Rick Honeycutt could spin the ball as a player too.
And he strikes out Flores with a fastball. First strikeout of the night for Hill. 2 down in the inning.
Fastball that kind of cuts. It's supposed to be away. Watch how it kind of shoots up and in on Wilmer Flores. That's where he fooled him.
So 2 out, Jackson at first, and now Michael Conforto. Michael 0 for 4 last night. He's got 7 of his 20 home runs this year against left-hand pitchers. In fact, he's hitting for a higher average against lefties than he is against righties. And he takes a fastball for a strike. And he has 1 of those home runs against Rich Hill. He'll face the Mets in New York. Didn't pitch particularly well, 4 runs in 5 innings. Hit 3 batters in that game.
Got a no decision, I think, in that game because it went extra innings. Hit Brandon Nimmo twice and Dominic Smith once, all on curveballs.
Dodgers wound up winning that game and sweeping that 3-game series, and had beaten the Mets 12 straight times before the Mets won last night.
Rosario wants to go, but he has not been able to get the read. Sorry, not Rosario, Austin Jackson, because of fielder's choice, has not gotten a read. Jackson almost tried to go to the last pitch.
Sidearm delivery and the curveball in first strike. So there's the different arm angle you were talking about.
Yeah, and he'll also throw his fastball from that arm angle, so you have to be careful if you're a hitter. So he gives you the curveball, and sometimes he doubles up with the fastball from that same angle.
There goes Jackson. Conforto tops one back to Hill, and he makes the play to retire the side. Leadoff walk. Hill gets through that. Jason Vargas takes them out for the bottom of the first when we come back. Who started last night for the Dodgers. Turner and Machado. The entire rest of the lineup turned over so that Dave Roberts can get 8 right-hand bats in there against Jason Vargas.
Turned over, but you have Dozier, who's been an all-star, hit over 30 home runs. not Machado played in last night's game. David Freese, who was a World Series hero. They got plenty of firepower.
What they don't have, though, is Yasiel Puig, their regular right fielder. As Vargas's first pitch is on the corner, Puig and his appeal of a suspension turned down. He's sitting tonight and tomorrow.
Land Rover numbers for Mr. Vargas. ERA still high because of the tough start. Been great the last 4.
Dozier goes after a changeup and misses, and it's 0-2. Dozier came over from the Twins on July 31st. He put together 2 fantastic years in Minnesota last year and the year before, but not having nearly the same kind of year this year.
Jason grew up about 100 miles northeast of here in Apple Valley. Went to Cypress Junior College, which is just south of here, and then Long Beach State.
Facing Dozier, who went to college nowhere near here at the University of Southern Mississippi.
As far as you can go.
It's pretty far. Dozier 42 home runs in 16, 34 last year, 20 this year. He's hitting just .212 since joining the Dodgers, and he chases one out of the strike zone, and Vargas has a strikeout to start his night.
Defense for the Mets this evening. Plawecki, you said his first start as a new father. Jay Bruce, we're always going to be watching when he's at first base. Todd Frazier, we have something about his catch later. Michael Conforto, Jackson, and Brando Nimmo. Talking about Frazier's amazing catch last night.
You want to put quotation marks there?
No.
Okay.
Kelbsy's on it.
Well, here's Justin Turner, who today was named Nationally Player of the Month for August. He had .402 with 6 home runs in that month. He was 1 for 3 last night. He delivered the keynote with a first-inning home run against Jacob deGrom, which, as generally is the case, turned out to be all that Jake allowed last night. We do have an amended version of the Jacob deGrom statistical story, though.
Yes.
It had been widely reported that Jake last night set a new major league record with his 25th straight game 3 runs or fewer, that he had broken Doc Gooden's mark dating back to 1913.
Yeah.
To which the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians for Major League Baseball, rather pointedly said Major League Baseball didn't start in 1913. It started in 1876. And in 1910, the Cubs had a rookie pitcher named Leonard King Cole, who had 25 straight starts, 3 runs or less. And so deGrom merely has tied the record of Leonard King Cole, and he'll have to have one more start of such brilliance to set the record.
It's amazing how sensitive people always want to talk how large their databases are.
Well, when you got 37 more years, that's significant. Right out to left. This one will stay in the ballpark. And Conforto drifts over under it to retire Turner 2 out. I mean, 37 years. That's a lot of years.
I used to think it was a lot of years, Gary.
That's a good point. Here's Manny Machado. He had a couple of hits last night. Machado playing his 43rd game for the Dodgers. Hasn't put up quite the same numbers in LA that he did in Baltimore, but that shouldn't be shocking considering the difference in the parks. I mean, Camden Yards is as good a hitter's venue as there is outside of Colorado. Well, Dodger Stadium's different.
I think that when Los Angeles got Machado, who's considered one of the top 5 players in the game, they thought they would get an influx of offense similar to
down the right field line, and it's foul. Didn't miss by much. Sorry,
remember he had a hit last night, a double that really helped the Mets in one sense, because one hopped and went into over the wall for a ground rule double, so Turner couldn't score. This gets in the stands. I think they thought they were going to get an influx like the Diamondbacks got from J.D. Martinez last year.
Fastball in for a strike, 1-2. Well, they had been living with Chris Taylor playing shortstop after the injury to Corey Seager took him out for the year. And getting Machado certainly lengthened their lineup Frazier in front of the grinder from Machado, and that retires the side. So Vargas with a 1-2-3 opening inning. No score after one. California sunset.
Well, I lived in Santa Monica for a long time. Doesn't get any better than that.
I mean, we have sunsets, but you know, they're over New Jersey, not over the Pacific. It's a little different. Todd Frazier from Jersey takes a strike. Todd hitting at .228 for the year, but just .158 against left-handers, and just 3 of his 16 home runs against lefties. We don't have palm trees either. Curveball fouled off, and it's 0-2. It'll be Frazier, Bruce, and Plawecki for the Mets against Rich Hill, who walked the leadoff hitter in the first, but worked around it. No full shift against Frazier, as many teams will play. They keep the second baseman Dozier on the right side of the bag. Frazier trying to take one to right, fouls off the fastball. And Frazier hits the curveball right through the hole for a base hit. Now they gave him a huge gap between the second baseman and the shortstop, and Frazier takes advantage of it. And the Mets have the leadoff man on for the second straight inning.
Backdoor breaking ball. Because it was backdoor, he couldn't pull it into the shift. See where Machado's playing. So that ball hit more up the middle, and the pitcher, what a reaction by Hill. Every pitcher in baseball has the same reaction when a ball that should be an out is hit against the shift. They're all the same. They forget when they get the outs in the shift, but they always hate when a ball is a hit against the shift.
Well, that ball was an out for hundreds of years, but I'll say something else, and we mentioned it before Frazier hit that ball. A lot of teams will play the second baseman in that neighborhood where he just hit it.
That's right.
Instead, the Dodgers had Dozier positioned on the other side of the bag, nowhere close to it. Maybe that's what Hill's upset about. Jay Bruce flailing the curveball, and it's 1-1. Jay was 1 for 3 at a double last night.
Against the left-handed hitters, he'll drop down just a little bit, 3/4, kind of make that curveball a little rounder.
Frazier's been doing some running. He's stolen 9 bases in 11 tries. Was caught stealing last night on a close play. There's that sidearm curve, and Bruce hits it deep to right. Back on the warning track. At the wall, it's out of here. Jay Bruce with a 2-run homer gets the Mets on the board. 5th home run of the year for Bruce, and it's 2-0 New York in the second.
Well, he tried to throw the same pitch twice, and he left this one inside to Jay Bruce, and Jay did not miss it. As the power has seemed to come back for Bruce after coming off the disabled list. This has really been the issue for Hill all year long. He gave up 18 home runs last year. 16 of them are solo. Were solo. This year, 16 home runs, 12 of them have had a runner on base.
Including this one, Bruce's 2nd home run against a left-hander this season. And so the Mets off to a good start. And here's Kevin Plawecki. Plawecki came off the bench last night after Devin Mesoraco felt a recurrence of the neck stiffness that had knocked him out the week before, and it also extended down into his back. So it's a little more troublesome for Mesoraco, and there's no telling when he might be able to play again, if at all. So Plawecki and Tomas Nido will be getting the bulk of the playing time from here. And Plawecki goes down on 3 pitches as Hill blows a fastball up and away past him. First out of the inning.
Watch this overhead shot. Watch where this curveball. Remember he swung through the one and it was outside off the plate. This one is on the inner half. So it's really the middle of the plate for Bruce, who's giving a little bit to the left-hander. Did you find it interesting after that 2-run home run? Some boos here in Dodger Stadium. They're only 38 and 35 this year at their home park.
Well, I think there was an expectation here in Los Angeles, and certainly, you know, after going to the World Series last year, it was warranted that this team was going to run away with the National League West, and it just hasn't gone that way. Last year, remember, they got off to a fairly slow start. Then they had that, what, 43-9 stretch that propelled them to an easy walk to the West Championship. This year, they had a terrible start. They were 10 games under 500 in the middle of May, went on a hot streak, but then struggled through August because of their bullpen problems, and they've had trouble scoring runs lately. In fact, they've gone 6 straight games now where they've scored 3 runs or fewer.
And they've given themselves now no margin for error in September. They have to have a great September to get in the postseason.
And what's amazing is you look at their overall numbers. Best pitching in the league, 3rd highest run total in the league, and yet here they are scuffling along, 12 games over 500.
Well, they have an interesting offense. Their pitching's been pretty good all season long, but their bullpen, like you said, struggled late. But if they don't hit the ball over the fence, then they don't score runs.
We saw that last night. 3-2 coming. And Nimmo hits one right over the bank. He's got a base hit. Chased toward the line by Taylor. Nimmo's going to try for 2. Taylor's throw comes up short, and Nimmo's got himself an opposite field double. So after his go-ahead 3-run pinch hit home run last night, Nimmo gets a start against a lefty, and he promptly comes up with his 23rd double of the year.
Remember, I was mentioning before that Hill had hit Nimmo with 2 curveballs in the last game. He had faced him at Citi Field, so it was all fastballs and this at bat, and Nimmo waited at the last minute, hit it almost out of the catcher's glove for a double down the left field line.
So Nimmo came into the night 4th in the league in on-base percentage and 10th in the league in slugging. He improves both those numbers with a 1-out double, and now Jason Vargas takes a strike. Vargas 2 for 19 at the plate. Lifetime .226 hitter.
Gary, a team not playing for the bunt with 1 out and a runner on second.
Thank goodness. I mean, we've seen it happen multiple times, and he's just not going to bunt.
You mentioned that Vargas went to Long Beach State. He was a hitter as well as a pitcher there, but that was so many moons ago.
When he first came up with the Marlins, he could really hit. He was one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball, but then, of course, spent a lot of time in the American League after that. One-two coming, and the curveball fouled off. Vargas 35 years old, Hill 38 years old. It's only the fourth game this year in the major leagues where both starting pitchers were 35 or older.
Well, one's got to be Cologne.
Verlander versus Cologne, Verlander versus Shields, Verlander versus Happ, and now Vargas versus Hill. And the curveball hit on the ground is short and handled by Machado. He throws out Vargas for the second out as Nimmo goes to third. Science of Baseball brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear.
See the release points of Rich Hill. One, that three-quarter arm action right on top of the ball gives it one kind of axis, that down and in AXIS axis, and then the one he throws from the side. That's that good one that starts behind the lefty and ends up on the outside corner. Flatter, but just as effective.
Changes the axis and improves his access to the outside corner.
There you go. Very nice. That's why I have you here, Gary, to pick me up. I can't take it the whole way.
It's just all about how you shape your words. Rosario walked his first time up, looking to pick up Nimmo from third with 2 out. And the curveball yanked foul, and it's 0-2. Well, the National League East getting a little tighter. Phillies won tonight. They beat Miami 9-4 as Drupal Cabrera homered and drove in 3, and the Braves are close to a loss. The Red Sox up 5-1 in Atlanta with 2 out in the bottom of the ninth.
And Carlos Santana led off that game with a home run, right?
Cesar Hernandez drove in 3. They've had such trouble scoring runs that they needed a breakout game like that. Fastball away, 1-2.
You saw that Boston score 5-1. If they win tonight, in their last 42 interleague games, the Red Sox will go 34-8.
Hard-working first 2 innings for Hill, his 47th pitch, and he sidearms against the right-hand hitter and gets the strikeout. Third strikeout for Hill, but the Mets jump in front. Jay Bruce going deep against the lefty. 5th home run of the year, and the Mets out to a 2-0 lead in the second in LA. Jason Vargas has a 2-0 lead as he faces the Dodgers in the home second. Matt Kemp leads off for LA. Kemp came off the bench last night and grounded into a game-ending double play after his heroics the previous 2 days with the game-winning hits against the Diamondbacks. But Kemp has been more of a part-time player the last month or so after a great start to his season that put him on the All-Star team for the 3rd time.
You know, he's one of the few guys that has hit well with runners in scoring position. So unusual that he's out of the lineup, but they just have so many pieces to play.
And Vargas falls behind him 3-0. David Freese on deck, then Kike Hernandez in this all right-hand hitting Dodger lineup other than the pitcher Hill. Makes sense. Vargas has been far more effective against lefties than righties. Kemp takes a pitch, 3-1. And Kemp back in LA after resurrecting his career in Atlanta the last 2 years. 33 years old, back where he started. And he yanks one on the ground into the shift. Rosario's right there to field it. And Kemp jogging out, 1 away. Tonight's Verizon trivia question: the only 3 players to hit 50 or more home runs is a Met and a Dodger. I can't help you with this because I have the answer right in front of me.
Well, I don't have it in front of me. And I don't have that much interest in it. Oh my God.
Well, that's honest. Here's David Freese, who's only been a Dodger for a few days. Picked up on Saturday from the Pirates in a waiver deal. He has great career numbers against Vargas, 7 for 12 with a couple of home runs. And he crushed the Mets this year wearing a Pirates uniform. Hit .389 with 10 RBIs in the season series between the Mets and the Bucks. He had that 5 RBI game in Pittsburgh.
Well, relating to our trivia question, you know, I saw on the field today Eric Karros, who's an underrated home run hitter for these Dodgers during his career.
He was the all-time Dodger Stadium home run leader, right?
That's right.
Grounded foul, 1 and 2.
Not many people could tell you that.
But Eric Karros never played for the Mets.
That's right.
So I know that he's not one of the answers.
Just trying to get in the good graces of the tweet people. I mean,
1-2 to Freese. And the changeup misses down, 2-2. Kike Hernandez waiting on deck. Freese making his 2nd start for the Dodgers. He started 55 games against the Pirates. Basically, he's been a platoon player all year. Hitting .291 against lefties. And he goes down on the changeup, and Vargas has his 2nd strikeout. 5 up and 5 down for Vargas, 2 out of the 2nd. Well, these are the all-time Dodger leaders against the Mets.
okay.
And it's not surprising that a lot of those numbers come from the 60s when the Dodgers have basically rolled over the Mets at will. Willie Davis, Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, Ron Peronowski. Willie Davis was a superb center fielder with ungodly speed for the Dodgers.
I mean, we always talk about it because of Reyes, but people will always say that watching Willie Davis score from first to home on a double was a thing to behold.
Kike Hernandez takes a changeup for a strike, 1-1. They're the highest batting average against the Mets. Surprising to see Frank Howard there because he was known more as a home run hitter than a high average hitter.
He must have got a lot of pieces of cheese and turned the fan on. That was his favorite phrase.
Of course, he was a Met coach and a Met manager. Brett Butler high on that list with a lot of bunts. And of course, Piazza did it against the Mets before he became a Met.
I was thinking that Frank was my first manager, I guess.
Is that right? Was he there when you came up in '83?
I was a September call-up.
Because George Bamberger left to go fishing.
That's right.
And Frank took over the job in '83. That's right.
George Bamberger was from Staten Island, I believe, right? And he just said,
a long-time pitching coach with the Orioles.
I'm done with this team. I'm going fishing. And Bill Montbouquet was still the pitching coach, but Frank Howard was our manager for that last month.
Grounded toward the middle of the diamond. There's Rosario to sweep it up and throw out Hernandez to end the inning. 2 perfect innings for Vargas to start his night. He's got a 2-0 lead.
Pitched to him and Pena and everybody else. So I said, well, I'm not up to date with these guys yet. So I watched a little bit of the videotape when I came to the ballpark for game 2. I didn't really have it down pat how I wanted to pitch them mentally. So I had to put a lot of things into my mind and see how it worked out there. So I put a little cheat sheet together and laminated it and put it in my back pocket. And I showed that to Durwood and I showed it to Doug. And I said, I'm not back there looking for pine tar or trying to cheat or cut the ball. This is just a little cheat sheet. It shows me how to pitch to certain hitters. And I referred to it about 2 or 3 times during the game.
Now, wait a second. If Orel Hershiser cleared the cheat sheet with Doug Harvey,
that's right,
who was known as the Lord in 1988, how does Joe West get off chastising a Philly pitcher and taking away his cheat sheet just this week?
Austin Davis is that lefty from the Philadelphia Phillies. I just love that, one, how young Orel looked, and second, how honest he was to go up to the umpires and say, listen, you know, this is what I'm going to be doing.
It's the right way to go about it, no question.
Expect nothing less from Orel.
Austin Jackson leads off in the 3rd. Well, that was Orel back in the day. He hasn't aged all that much. He still looks young. Grounded out to Machado at short. And he throws out Jackson one away. And Orel is our legend of the game, presented by Budweiser, the legendary lager for legendary moments. That was his Cy Young season in '88. Of course, he came out of the bullpen in game 4 after Mike Scioscia hit his memorable home run.
He and I started against each other in game 3. Game 4 ended with him on the mound and me on third as a pinch runner, of all things. But what a great pitcher he was for so many seasons.
Let's also not forget his contributions as a Met in 1999. He was a mainstay of Bobby Valentine's rotation. He won 13 games that year, and without Hershiser, the Mets probably don't get to the postseason that year. Fastball inside to Flores, 1-1.
He just was, from day one, a thinking man's pitcher. And I always love, there's Tommy Lasorda. Tommy Lasorda is the base hit for Flores up the middle. Was his manager who gave him the nickname Bulldog, because as we saw in the picture, he looked so innocent, and he wanted the other players on his team to know that he was a fiery competitor when he was on the mound, and he certainly was.
59 consecutive scoreless innings, major league record in that '88 season.
Got a little Archie look there.
It's an assassin bubbling beneath the surface there.
Exactly. I mean, people are always showing me pictures that are so embarrassing, so I'm not even going there.
We were all young once. Michael Conforto hit a comebacker his first time up. And he hits one deep to right field. Forget that. That is way up in the pavilion. Another sidearm delivery from Hill to a left-hand hitter. And just as Bruce did before, Conforto loses it for a 2-run homer. And the Mets have a 4-0 lead. Number 21 for Conforto.
It was almost the mirror same pitch that he threw to Jay Bruce. Wanted it away. Did not have enough spin on it to get away. Stayed on the inner part and taken care of by Conforto. Hill got that a little more away, but we talked about it before. When he drops down, it's more of a flat break.
So the two lefties have taken him deep, Bruce and Conforto, with a pair of 2-run homers. And as you were talking about before, Ronnie, Hill not only giving up home runs, but giving up with men on base. And now Frazier drives one toward the left field corner beyond Taylor's reach. It bounces off the wall and away from him. And Frazier pulls in at second base with his second hit of the night, a double. So the Mets, who have hit Hill hard over the years, are tattooing him again.
Just a fastball up and away, and Frazier cheating a little bit on that first pitch, pulls it down the line. Short hops the wall and gets away from Taylor, making it easy for Frazier, and a double.
No action as yet in the Dodger bullpen, but Hill is getting clubbed around. That's 6 hits in 2 1/3 innings, including a couple of long balls.
Dave Roberts has a ton of people in that bullpen, but last night only got 5 innings from his starter.
Well, he used 6 relievers last night. He's got, what, 14?
Still.
It's not short. But there's nobody throwing yet. Here's Bruce. And he grounds one down to third. Short hop by Turner, playing it off to the side, and he gets the out. That was a do-or-die play by Turner, who could have gotten in front of that ball and declined to.
Well, watch the reaction from Rich Hill after the pitch. Knew it as soon as he gave it up. I've had that feeling before. And as the Bruce one we showed, it was more the inner third. That was more the outer third. Good plate coverage by Conforto.
So now 2 out. Frazier still at second. And here's Plawecki, who struck out on fastballs his first time up, and he takes a first pitch fastball for a strike. Well, the Mets won last night, and they put the Dodgers back on their heels early in this game. Every game of great import for this Dodger team. With less than 4 weeks to go. 0-2 to Plawecki.
Well, important games make strange bedfellows, as Arizona and Colorado happy with this start for the Mets.
Diamondbacks up on the Padres, who beat them last night. The Rockies are 2-2 with the Giants in the 7th. They just tied that game up. And Plawecki strikes out for a second time. He'll get him with a fastball again, his 4th strikeout. But Michael Conforto's 2-run homer doubles the Mets lead, 4-0 in the 3rd. Icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Jay Bruce and Michael Conforto both taking Rich Hill deep. And Jason Vargas stake to a 4-0 lead as we start the home third. Vargas has retired the first 6 Dodgers. He'll take on Chris Taylor to start the third inning. Taylor playing left field tonight. He's gotten the majority of his time this year at shortstop, but now with Machado here, his playing time is diminished. He pops one foul back and out of play. Taylor was one of the great stories for the Dodgers last year. 21 home runs, 72 RBIs, hit over 280, but this has been a different season.
Yeah, he and Cody Bellinger are 2 of the big reasons they had the year that they did. This year, leading the National League with 158 Ks.
I mean, he struck out a lot last year, but he hit for a lot higher average as well. It'll be Taylor, then Austin Barnes and Rich Hill for the Dodgers in the third. And Vargas got it swing on that pitch. Not sure that Taylor felt he swung, but first base umpire Jeremy Rehak. That's not Jeremy Rehak. We have the umpires wrong.
I think Mark Wegner is.
Yeah. We're going to have to check the umpire rotation because that's definitely not Rehak at first base.
Yes. I believe that's Wegner.
1-2 coming to Taylor, and it's taken off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Taylor hooks one down the line, foul. Jason Vargas, last 4 starts, 3-0, 1.99. Pitching here at Dodger Stadium for only the 2nd time in his career. The first time 9 years ago. Juan Pierre was leading off for the Dodgers in 2009. Last time Vargas started here. And buries the changeup blowing in. 3-2 to Taylor.
Well, Jason Vargas in his rookie year finished 8th in the Rookie of the Year voting. Ryan Howard won it. Names like Willie Taveras. Houston was in the National League still. Frank Orr, Atkins, Duke, Zach Duke, Jeff Francis, Ricky Weeks are some of the names.
And a foul ball at the plate. Ryan Howard just announced his retirement today.
That's right.
2 years after his last game. Oldest left-handed starter to win 3 straight starts for the Mets since Tom Glavine 12 years ago. He was 40 at the time.
Actually.
Eighth pitch of the at-bat from Vargas to Taylor. And the curveball misses, ball 4. And the Dodgers have their first base runner of the night. Well, last night in the 2nd inning, Alex Verdugo hit a foul pop-up for the Dodgers. And Todd Frazier tracked it to the railing, caught it, went in the stands, came out, showed his glove to the umpire, and Verdugo was called out. It was a spectacular play by Frazier. But our own Zapruder, Steve Gelbs, has some investigative reporting. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but Todd Frazier did not actually make the catch. He dropped the baseball, but even better than that, the ball that he showed the umpire was not the official game ball. When he jumped into the crowd, a rubber baseball that, you know, you would give to a 6-7-year-old kid popped out of the green bag that he fell onto. He picked that baseball up, showed it in his glove, and then as soon as he did dupe the umpire, he threw it quickly into the stands to get rid of the evidence. So wasn't so much a great play as some great deception by the veteran third baseman.
Is there a statute of limitations on these things?
I was just thinking. Well, that's something to be able to think that quickly. You know, it was pretty funny. In one of our shots last night, one of the Dodger fans was shaking his hands like, no, no, no. He did not catch it. So he had seen that the ball had come out of Frazier's glove, but the umpires did not.
Well, the best part of that, Ron, is that if you go back and watch the video, there is one Dodgers fan with a Justin Turner jersey and a backwards black hat that picks up the real baseball, and he is standing there stunned by what's happening because he has the baseball in his hand, but Todd Frazier has something else, and the umpires are calling the out.
Oh, it's quite a deke. 3-1 to Austin Barnes, the number 8 hitter. And Barnes drives one to deep left field. Back goes Conforto at the wall. It's out of here. Austin Barnes cuts the Mets lead in half. Just his second home run of the season. A 2-run shot, and it's 4-2.
Well, even though the Dodgers have only scored coming into this game 15 runs in their last 6 games. We talked about how they can hit home runs. Even Barnes, who has not shown a lot of power. But it wasn't the Barnes home run. It was the 3-2 curveball walk to the hitter prior, Chris Taylor, that might have been the undoing for Vargas.
And now Hill follows with a base hit. So Rich Hill, not known as much of a hitter, picks up his 4th hit of the season. And the lower third of the Dodger order showing some life against Vargas.
Well, usually for a starting pitcher, the first pitch is the best one you're going to see. And Hill looks like a hitter on that one.
So after Vargas pitched perfectly through the first 2 innings, he's given up a walk, a 2-run homer, and a single to the 7, 8, and 9 hitters. And now he'll face Brian Dozier with a man on. So we finally figured out which umpire is where.
Okay.
Jeremy Rehak is the home plate umpire tonight. That is he who put up his right hand on that first pitch curveball.
Yes.
You were right. Mark Wegner is the first base umpire.
Oh, it gives me such grace.
He was the guy who made the call at third base last night, so we expected him to be at second tonight.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Okay.
He was the guy that Todd Frazier deked in the game last night.
He's going to be happy to know that after the game, by the way.
Yeah, well, he might know it already, by the way. Jim Reynolds is the second base umpire, and John Tumpane is at third. Reynolds was the guy who couldn't make it to the ballpark last night, but he's here tonight.
So really, Tumpane's in the right spot.
Yes, somebody has to be. No, it's not us. Dozier takes a changeup down. It's 1-2. Justin Turner waiting on deck. Well, the 2-run homer by Barnes snaps a streak for the Mets starting pitchers. Mets had gone 6 straight games with the starter allowing exactly 1 run. Back to Vargas, a chance for 2. Flores making the turn, not in time. Well, Vargas took a long time getting rid of the ball. And then Flores with the long arm action, selling the throw a bit, and Dozier's able to beat it out.
Yeah, that was really on Vargas because he double clutched with that ball. He had to get rid of it quicker. Watch. He double clutches right there, and that killed the play. See, the throw was a little right to Bruce, too, so he wasn't able to give that direct kind of lean towards second base to try to cut off the angle. So Vargas, yeah, he knew it was his bad.
Well, and the good thing that happened there, and you mentioned it earlier after his throw from first base last night, Wilmer got rid of the ball and was able to throw it, on target. And it's been a problem for him lately making throws, and so that's 2 in 2 nights that he's been able to make accurately.
Yeah, he went through a process where he was really aiming it and very tentative, but has not looked like that the last 2 nights.
Here's Turner, who flied out to left his first time up. Dozier at first with 1 out. And Turner takes a fastball outside. 2-0. Turner, the best hitter the Dodgers have had against lefties this year, hitting .356 against left-hand pitching. Dodgers, like the Mets, have a very low team batting average against lefties. They're hitting just 230. Mets 224, but the Dodgers have hit twice as many home runs against lefties. Home run hitting ball club. And Turner takes a changeup at the knees, 2-1. You can see they lead the league in home runs and slugging percentage. And further down the list in the other offensive categories. Dozier at first can steal a base. He's got 11 this year. And Turner takes it wide, and Vargas finds himself behind in the count again. He fell behind Barnes 3-1, and Barnes took him deep. Now he's behind on an even more dangerous hitter in Turner. Manny Machado on deck.
Turner, like a great drummer, has that right foot like he's touching the pedal, keeping a constant motion to stay on his back foot.
He takes the changeup for a strike.
Keeping the time for the band.
He'll never hi-hat you, though.
No hi-hat needed.
He has been a symbol of success, though.
Look at that back foot.
He's got the good base.
Yes, he does.
You have to figure Dozier might well be running here with 3 and 2 and 1 out. Turner looking to snare a hit.
This crowd's a little angry. They're into the game tonight. They saw so much success from this team last year. They're probably just frustrated that they haven't kind of snapped out of it yet.
Not going, and Turner flies one to deep center field. Jackson going back at the wall to make the catch. And Dozier was all the way down to second, retreats to first. Turner almost got it, but the ballpark where the ball does not travel well in the evening at Dodger Stadium, just big enough to hold it.
Just got it off the end. That follow through held by Turner, trying to keep that ball in the air a little bit longer. Look at that stance, the back foot, the front foot with the high leg kick and the timing. Just spot on. Just got it a little off the end.
So a big sigh for Vargas. 2 out, now facing Machado with a runner at first. And the off-speed pitch, and he held the swing. Ball 1. Mark Wegner with the call. And Machado takes a sinker outside, 2-0.
Turner, who last year in the NLCS hit one of the most historic home runs. Look at the contact just on the end of the bat, just not centered, or it would have been a tie game.
Line center field, base hit for Machado. Dozier will go first to third, and the Dodgers have runners at the corners. Third hit of the inning.
That was an interesting hit by Machado off the end of the bat too, on a changeup. Shaking his hand like he heard it. Oh, big open stance also. We talked about his plate coverage. So this is a pitch away, but still covers it.
He almost cued that ball. It was so far down the end.
He did cue it, because if you watched it, it started out right up the middle, ended up over the head of Flores at second base. It was like a Massey shot in pool.
A lot of distance for a Massey. Dave Allen made a visit to the mound to talk to Vargas. the tying runs aboard for LA with Matt Kemp coming up. Kemp grounded out to short his first time up. So Vargas, after being handed a 4-0 lead, has given half of it back. Now just trying to maintain himself. And he sells a changeup outside. He has not had command of that pitch early in this game.
It's been up when we've seen him the last 4 starts. He's had good fastball command. Changeup has always been down. Curveballs for strikes.
And this is with another changeup, and it's 2-0. He's just not a pitcher who can live by his fastball alone.
Yeah, he just looks to me rushed tonight.
He's been behind almost everybody in this inning. 2-0 on Kemp. And that's off the plate. It's 3-0. David Freese on deck.
He's swinging here.
I would have to think so.
Yes.
Dozier at third, Machado at first with 2 down. 3-0 to Kemp. And he swings and nubs one past the mound. In comes Flores, the quick toss, and he got him to retire the side. Kemp swinging on 3-0, almost got himself soft enough contact to get a run in, but Flores throws him out, and it's 4-2. Fourth inning, Brandon Nimmo leads off against Rich Hill. Nimmo poked a double inside the third base bag his first time up. And he takes curveball for a strike. 3 2-run homers in this game. Bruce and Conforto for the Mets, Barnes for the Dodgers. 4-2 New York as we start the fourth. And the fastball misses away, 1-2. Jason Vargas on deck, and then Ahmed Rosario for the Mets in the fourth. Mets have 6 hits against Hill, who's yet to settle into this game. Of course, they don't usually give him a whole lot of time to settle in. I was looking at his postseason numbers last year. He was really good, right? 4 postseason starts. He had a 2.55 ERA, but he averaged like 4 innings per start.
But it's almost against the analytics for me, because Hill was one of the few starters for the Dodgers. When you look at his numbers, the third time through the lineup, he got better.
On the inside corner with a changeup, and he gets Nimmo looking for the first out.
Let's see where this pitch was on our Jeep pitch cast to Nimmo. God, I don't think that was a changeup guy. I think it was just not a good fastball.
84 miles an hour. It's
I know.
unusual
I mean,
for him. So 1 out now. Vargas, who grounded to short his first time, and he takes a fastball away. And, you know, because of the short leash that Roberts had with him last year, it was that much more surprising in a game that's so important to the Dodgers, as they all are right now, and with so many arms available in the bullpen, that he had nobody up when Hill was struggling in the last inning. But I guess despite the fact that his offense has been struggling a bit lately, Roberts has confidence that this is a night where they're going to score some runs.
And the one thing we don't see when we see a team so infrequently is that when you're watching certain pitchers on your staff,
Vargas strikes out for the second out.
there's some that you've watched all year, they settle in after 3 or 4 innings and get a little better. Maybe that's what Hill's done for the Dodgers.
Get to Citi Field this Saturday when the Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets winter hat courtesy of Just Works. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. So now Hill starts his 3rd time through the batting order. Ahmed Rosario has walked and struck out tonight, and he bounces the curveball foul. Rosario, up until August 10th, had 4 games of 3 hits or more. Since August 10th, he's had 5 games of 3 hits or more. That's how his year has picked up.
Only one other player's had more than that, right? The youngster for Atlanta.
It would be Ronald Acuna. He's had 6 3-hit games since August 10th, but he had a bunch before that, too. Pulled over the bag. That's a fair ball going down the line for Rosario. It hits off the jutting stands, and Rosario will pull into second base with a 2-out double. 22nd double of the year for Rosario. And he's on base for the 2nd time tonight.
You know, it's interesting. Turner, who usually plays a deep third base, was very even with the bag. Not that he was going to make that play. That ball was a rocket down the line, just fair. Of course, made it a little easier.
Well, I think with Rosario up, even though he doesn't bunt a lot, you've got to respect it at least some.
2 outs, maybe.
Jackson tries the same spot, but yanks it foul. The Cardinals held on to beat the Nationals 11-8. Jordan Hicks had to come in to save that game. Marcell Ozuna with 2 home runs. And meanwhile, the Brewers are blowing out the Cubs tonight, 9-1 in the 8th. So it looks like that division is going to tighten some more. Jackson chases a high fastball, and it's 0-2. If Milwaukee wins that game and takes the first 2 of that series, they're only 3 games behind. Playing at their away home at Miller Park with all the Cub fans there.
Well, you just have to ask Cole Hamels. He'll let you know what's going on there.
What did he say? There's no rivalry?
Well, he says, how can there be a rivalry? There's more Cubs fans here. I mean, that must have just galled the Brewer fans.
Well, I understand the roof was leaking at Miller Park tonight. Maybe it was leaking on Cole Hamels.
Maybe on purpose, yeah.
They wouldn't let it leak on the Brewer fans. 1-2 to Jackson with Rosario at 2nd and 2 out. And Austin takes that pitch high. 2-2. It's now 11-1 Milwaukee as they play in the 8th inning. So that looks like that game's done. Flores would be next. That's with 7 hits in the first 4 innings against Hill. Jackson pops up the curveball into shallow right. Backpedaling freeze into foul ground to get it. And that retires the side. A double in 1 left. Middle of the 4th, 4-2 New York. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Jason Vargas took a hit in the 3rd, tries to settle back in the 4th. David Freese leads off for the Dodgers and wouldn't chase the changeup outside. It's 1-0. Freese struck out his first time up. Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor to follow for LA in the 4th, after Austin Barnes' 2-run homer got them closer in the 3rd. The umpteenth time already in this game, Vargas falls behind 2-0.
You know, David Freese, when he's at his best, when he was an everyday player with the Cardinals, he was a guy that had tremendous power to right and right center, right field, and with the less and less playing time that he's gotten, he's become more of a pull hitter, which I think is to his detriment.
Three and 1 to Freese. Now the Rockies put up a 5-spot in the bottom of the 7th. They lead the Giants now 6-2. Ryan McMahon and David Dahl with home runs. Rockies a half game in front of the Dodgers in first place. Good change up that time by Vargas, and Freese fouls it off 3-2.
The Rockies win that game, Gary. They'll be in their last 19 against the Giants at Coors, 17-2.
You know, we were talking last night about potential MVP candidates, and we talked about Nolan Arenado. You know who's really put himself in that conversation? It's Trevor Story.
Yes, he has.
2 more home runs last night. 3-2 coming, and it's fouled away.
Said he practices his swing, getting ready for a swing before a game, with the lid of a bucket. He says he tries to intimate that gets both hands through the zone at the same time. That's how he gets his power. So he gets a lid of a bucket, and he kind of twists his body with the bucket. And he said that's how he feels. If he hits like that in a game, that's where he's going to get his power. Never heard that before.
Curveball flying down the right field line, slicing foul. Nimmo wasn't going to get there, and it just tucked away at the last moment.
Yeah, if Nimmo's not going to get it, no one's going to get it.
Well, the thing about Story is, you know, he came up with a bang.
Yeah.
What, 6 home runs in his first 4 games.
Well, also spring training. Remember, he hit 10 home runs in spring training.
Right, but he's made a conscious effort now to hit more line drives and not use as much of an uppercut, launch angle type swing.
And he's cut down. I wouldn't say he's cut down because he still strikes out a lot, but trying not to strike out as much.
Trying to hit for a higher average, though. 8th pitch of the at-bat, and Freese launches one to deep left field. Conforto back, but that's gone. David Freese with his 10th home run of the year, his 3rd against the Mets, and it cuts the Mets lead to 4-3.
Got him for a strikeout in first at bat with a changeup away. Tried the changeup again, but this one ended up down and in. So his 4th home run, 3rd home run against the Mets this year. His 4th home run against Jason Vargas in his career.
You know, a lot of people, when the Dodgers picked up Freese on Saturday, shrugged their shoulders like, what do they need another piece for? Well, what Freese does, he's a specialist against left-handed pitching, and he showed it off there.
That's right. I mean, that's what the Dodgers have had through this great run, is that their bench, now it's different now in September, their bench is unlike other benches for other teams, laden with veteran players that have done a lot in the post. To the reaction of Jason Vargas after that changeup came inside and didn't stay away. When you pitch for long enough, you know by the sound of the bat what just happened.
He needed the Santana changeup against Freese.
Yeah, there you go.
Hernandez takes a strike, and it's 1-2.
Best changeup I ever saw.
On his 134th pitch. Curveball hit to the right side, sneaking toward the hole. Flores able to get to it, but has no play. Oddly hit ball, and Hernandez winds up with an infield hit.
Well, it was a breaking ball that semi-jammed Kike Hernandez. so the ball came off his back kind of funny and with a lot of spin. Jay Bruce thought to go for it. Bruno Flores got his glove on it.
And by the way, Vargas never got over to cover.
Never went to cover. Bruce wasn't going to get back there in time. It didn't really matter because Hernandez has great speed, but still.
So the tying run is aboard for the Dodgers with nobody out. Chris Taylor coming up. Taylor walked and scored his first time up. And he takes one on the outside corner for a strike. No action as yet in the Mets bullpen. Keep in mind with Lugo and Gazelman both having pitched last night, they are both likely to be unavailable today the way they have been managed over the last month or so. It certainly shortens up the guys who are in the circle of trust in that Mets bullpen, but there are still plenty of guys available, especially with Syndergaard having gone the distance the day before yesterday. They're the city probables for the final game of the series tomorrow. Zach Wheeler for the Mets. Hyun-Jin Ryu will pitch for the Dodgers. It'll be the 6th game between the Mets and Dodgers, and the 6th time the Dodgers have run out a lefty starter. 0-2 to Taylor. And this is outside, 1-2.
Well, you know, because he was kind of taken out of the rotation for Jason Vargas. Corey Oswald usually piggybacks the games that Jason Vargas pitches, but only the start innings. I think you'd want a true reliever to try to get out of an inning.
And again, you've got enough arms down there that you can always bring somebody in to do that and then run Oswald out the next inning. Taylor drives one deep in the gap. Jackson back, and it's off the wall. Racing for third, Hernandez. He'll be held up there. It's a double for Chris Taylor, and the Dodgers have second and third and nobody out. Chris Woodward, the Dodger third base coach, holding up Hernandez, not want to take a chance with nobody out. But they're starting to hit some rockets against Vargas.
Well, sometimes over the course of a game, you'll see a pitcher get off to a quick start like Vargas did, and sometimes as a staff you'll get fooled by it and think he's going to figure it out because he got off to such a quick start, but they're hitting his changeup right now. And Kike Hernandez, who has great speed, knows how to run the bases, but I thought this was a great hold by the ex-Met Chris Woodward, who's become one of the better third base coaches in the game.
Tyler Batchelor is up in the Mets bullpen, as Vargas has given up 3 straight hits to start the 4th. Now Austin Barnes, who took him deep his first time up, and he takes low and in for ball 1. And the Mets have been getting such great starting pitching every day, you start to take it for granted. 1.60 ERA over the last 16 games. Only once have the starters given up more than 2 runs before tonight, but Vargas has already been tagged for 3. Barnes pops one up. Let's see if it stays in play for Bruce. And he doesn't get there. Wow. That ball was in the air a long, long time and should have been caught. But the inexperienced first baseman Bruce did not get there. And Barnes gets a life.
Well, these are the growing pains, I guess, you're going to have to play with. This is a ball where he had plenty of room, about 3-4 feet of room, and just kind of gave up on it. I don't know what his thinking was here. Because all he had to do is stay with it. He looked to the catcher Plawecki. That was his first problem.
Did he have to hesitate to get by George Lombard, the first base coach?
He did, but he had plenty of time to get there and to wrangle it in. That's
that's on Lombard to get out of the way. Bruce shouldn't have to worry about that. Infield back, 1-1 to Barnes.
It's just inexperience, Gary. You know, everyone in this game is telling me you can just throw guys anywhere you want to throw them. Can't do it. Care as long as you can tell me for 100 years you can do it. Can't do it.
Keith will get him right. Max Muncy is coming on deck to pinch hit for the Dodgers. 2-1 to Barnes, and he fouls that fastball back. 2-2. Muncy, one of 7 left-handed bats available for Dave Roberts off the bench tonight. Josh Fields up in the Dodger bullpen. Vargas trying to hang on by his fingernails. Hernandez at third, Taylor at second, and nobody out. And the curve ball bounced slowly to third. Frazier boots it, and everybody's safe, and the game is tied. Well, Frazier, I'm sure, was thinking about whether he had enough time to throw home on that slowly hit grounder, but he never picked it up cleanly.
Well, it definitely was what happened to him. The ball might have come up a little bit, but he really had his sights set on getting that baseball and firing it quickly to home plate. And he wasn't able to do either.
Charge an error to Frazier, give an RBI to Barnes, his third RBI of the night. So the Mets had a 4-0 lead. That's all gone, and now Rich Hill will stay in and bat for himself after Muncy had been on deck. First and third and nobody out. Hill had a base hit his first time up, and he lays down a bunt. Safety squeeze, the flip by Vargas, and Taylor is out at the plate. Vargas handled that beautifully on the safety squeeze, and Taylor was a dead duck for the first out of the inning.
Well, it's really the only way you can make this play. He uses his glove, never makes the exchange, ladles it to Plawecki, who applies the tag. The bad decision on this play is by Chris Taylor, because all he has to do on a bunt is stay at third.
Right.
The runner goes to second, Hill's out at first base, second and third, and an out.
It's going to be all for Jason Vargas. He's out after 3 1/3 innings, and Tyler Bachelor will come in to face the right-hand hitters with Dozier, Turner, Machado due up. Mets had a 4-0 lead. That's gone. Now Bachelor will come in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. First outing in 6 days for Tyler Bachelor.
He hasn't pitched since Wrigley Field, when he had a nice inning, struck out 2.
Comes in here with 2 runs home in the inning. The game tied in the 4th. First and second and 1 out. Brian Dozier the batter. Dozier's 0 for 2 tonight, and taking off for third is Barnes, and he steals without a throw. Hill was the runner at first. He held his position. Barnes picks up his 4th stolen base of the year. Got a running start against Bachelor.
Well, the young right-hander was surprised by it, but the middle infielders, Wilmer, is supposed to do a little better job. You know, what you can do as a middle infielder, even if your pitcher doesn't want to pick up play, say step off. That's all you have to do.
So now first and third and 1 out. Infield stays at double play depth. And Dozier takes a fastball down for ball 2. Tie-breaking run at third with one out. And it's grounded down to third. Frazier goes to second for one. Wilmer on to first, not in time, and the Dodgers take the lead. There was very little chance of turning two there. Frazier would have been better advised to throw that ball home. The fielder's choice puts the Dodgers in front 5-4.
You know, I wonder if the error on the play where he was thinking of coming home had any influence on this play. Not hit sharp enough to go around the horn for the double play. I thought the play was at home.
So 3 runs home in the inning. And after the Mets led 4-0, the Dodgers have now trumped that and lead 5-4. And now Bachelor has to be cognizant of Dozier at first. He's already given up 1 stolen base uncontested. Turner at the plate hit one to the center field fence that was caught his last time up.
Well, a big stolen base by Barnes. The rest of base running. That's why Roberts likes him catching.
Takes a fastball in tied 1-0. That's an Eric Handhold up in the bullpen now. He's yet to make his big league debut. Long hold by Bachelor, and finally Turner asks for time.
Well, a little bit of everything in this inning, right?
Well, by all rights, the inning should be over. Frazier error prolonging things. Turner, and he swings and misses at the high fastball. 1-1. Bachelor's 17th big league appearance. Hurt by the long ball. He's given up 5 home runs in 25 innings of work. Came right to the big leagues from Double-A. Turner back, 2 balls and a strike.
Last night's game, it was the 17th appearance for Drew Smith, so they're running neck and neck as far as getting a look at these young right-handers.
And now you got Handhold out there trying to get a toe hold. Dozier takes off, got a huge jump, but Turner fouls it. So another enormous jump against Bachelor. First it was Barnes, and this time Dozier got a 3-step advance before Bachelor came out of his stretch.
Well, it was a 2-1 count. They're anticipating that Bachelor's going to throw a strike to one of the best hitters in the game. Nice aggressive play by the Dodgers.
Well, teams that scout the Mets obviously have taken full advantage of the Mets' problems controlling the running game. Dozier runs again. Turner strikes out. The inning comes to an end. But the Dodgers score 3 times after the David Freese leadoff home run. They take the lead 5-4 after 4. 50 or more home runs as a Met and a Dodger. Well, Mike Piazza, the obvious one. The other two are Jeff Kent and Todd Hundley, who had exactly 50 as a Dodger.
I've been waiting 2 innings for that answer, Gary. Thank you for that. Todd Hundley had 50 as a Dodger?
As a Dodger, 124 wow. As a Met. Kent had 67 as a Met, 75 as a Dodger, and then Piazza had 220 as a Met, 177 as a Dodger. Well, the Mets behind in this game for the first time after some rather shoddy defense in that last half inning. And Wilmer Flores pops one up near the bag at second. And Dozier one-hands it, one away.
Well, it's interesting to see in his first and second at-bat. In the first inning, Conforto gets that sidearm curveball, and he takes it. Now, that's the first time he saw it on the outer part. The second at-bat in the third inning, he sees the same pitch. It would have ended up in about the same spot, maybe a little higher, but because he saw it for the second time, he was right on top of it.
And this time, Hill starts him off with a fastball, and Conforto fouls it off. Conforto's home run was his 21st of the year. He's now homered in all 3 cities on this road trip. Hit the one to center field at Wrigley Field that possibly still hasn't come down.
Tried to hit the scoreboard.
Another one to center field at AT&T Park, and this one well up into the pavilion in right field. Frazier on deck. So Hill, who looked like he might be out of the game, now not only in the game but in the lead. We're all set to bat for him if the Dodgers not tied that game up.
That's right.
And a 3-1 curveball in for a strike, full count.
See, that was a better one. It's a 3-1 count. Conforto can't be looking for that pitch, and it was down on the knees. Now's the tough choice.
Off the fists behind the bag. That's Turner playing there to throw him out. That's a 5-3 putout from a 4 or 6 position. Why bother?
Yes.
So Hill with a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning after being handed the lead. Now Frazier, whose error brought in the unearned run that gave the Dodgers the lead. If you look at it, the Mets made 1 error and 1 non-play on the same batter. Right, first Bruce allowed the pop-up to fall.
That's right.
To prolong the turn at bat, and then Barnes put it in play, and Frazier made the error.
It doesn't matter who you're playing. You give any team in the major leagues extra outs. That's what ends up happening. 3 runs.
Frazier singled through the hole on the left side when they were playing the second baseman on the right side. Now they just had the 3-man shift, but now Dozier with 2 strikes is going back to the right and leaving open that same hole that Frazier was able to dent. Now they move Machado further over toward that hole. Interesting. And he goes down on strikes, so it barely matters. 7 strikeouts for Hill. He has got his first 1-2-3 inning after getting the lead.
Always much fun to be had at the Santa Monica Pier. Just, you know, dress accordingly because different microclimate there.
Oh, yeah, big time. 10 degrees cooler.
It's a change up to reality dating as best friends scout social media to draft a perfect date. Don't miss an all-new episode of Prospects presented by Baltimore Lanes tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. right here on SNY. Speaking of prospects, Eric Hanhold makes his major league debut and his first batter to face Manny Machado. Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Exactly. You see A, AA, AAA acquired from the Brewers as part of the Neil Walker trade in September of 2017.
24 years old, born in Bartlett, Tennessee, University of Florida product where he was a teammate of Peter Alonso. Past the mound, but Flores right there to field it, and Hanhold now has an ERA. It's 0. 4-3 put out for the first out.
Well, he didn't think it was a 4-3 put out when it was hit like a rocket by him, but the shift got him. Good for Eric.
So 1 out and nobody on now. Matt Kemp, who's been up twice and grounded out both times. Yeah, Hanhold pitched at 4 different levels in the minor leagues this year. Gulf Coast League, New York Penn League, Eastern League, Pacific Coast League. He got to see the world. 35 games at those 4 stops. He was hurt for part of the season, which is why he was down in the Gulf Coast League doing some rehab. Big kid, sinker slider pitcher.
6'5", 220.
Behind on Kemp, 2-0. And there's a strike. Sinker on the inside, and it's 2-1. David Freese waits on deck. And Kemp takes one the other way for a base hit. So Kemp on base for the first time tonight, a 1-out single.
Just a sinker in on his hands. Nice inside out swing from Kemp.
Seventh hit for the Dodgers, the first against Hanhold. And now here's David Freese, who homered leading off in the 4th inning, leading to Jason Vargas's demise in this game. And he fouls off a first pitch fastball. Vargas went 3 1/3, charged with 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Tyler Bachelor got 2 outs, one of them by a strikeout in the 4th, and now Hanhold working in the 5th. Anytime I see a pitcher for the Mets make his major league debut at Dodger Stadium, I think of Joe Crawford. Before your time, I think it was in the early 2000s. Joe Crawford was called up by the Mets and made his major league debut at Dodger Stadium. But he made his major league debut. He's a big pitcher.
Yeah.
As a hitter, he came up to pinch hit because the Mets were out of players in an extra inning game. He pinch hit, and then he stayed in the pinch.
Well, thank God he stayed in the pitch. I thought I was going to hear a war story, like he came in as a hitter and then never pitched in the major leagues.
He wasn't Moonlight Graham. He was Joe Crawford.
Hit him.
And he hit him. Freese drilled by the pitch, and now the Dodgers have 2 men on. It was actually earlier than I thought. 1997 was Joe Crawford's big league debut.
Tries that sinker down and in and just loses control of it. Freese takes it on the numbers. Funny, you said it before my time. I was like,
well, before your time as a broadcaster. That's what I meant. I know there were a lot of years that you distanced yourself after your career was over. That 1997, I believe, was one of them.
I was going, how could you see Joe Crawford like in the late 60s or 70s or something?
Quite that way. Here's Kike Hernandez, who had an infield hit his last time up, 1 for 2. And he takes a slider on the corner from Hanhold, 0-1.
Good slider by Hanhold. You have to remind yourself, because you're so pumped in your first debut, use all your pitches. Use that slider.
Throws the fastball up, and Hernandez fouls it back, and it's 0-2.
Most of the time for sinker ball pitchers, when they're this amped, they tend to overthrow, and when they overthrow, the ball tends to straighten out. So I'd say take a deep breath, but there's none to get.
Kemp at second, Freeze at first, and Hernandez takes a slider off the plate, 1-2. One-two coming. Hernandez tops it slowly. Rosario on the charge and makes the play nicely to get the second out as the runners move to second and third. No panic by Rosario. Nice play.
Well, this is a little subtle thing for you folks at home. Remember earlier in the season there was a runner on second. He tried to one-hand the play and it went in the outfield. The runner scored. He's already learned from that within this year. And to make that play with two hands protects himself and the team from that run scoring. Even if he doesn't come up with that cleanly and doesn't make the play, the ball doesn't go in the outfield.
So now Chris Taylor bats with second and third and 2 out. Taylor drilled a double off the wall in left center his last time up. He's also drawn a walk. Big out for Handhold to get. Taylor with the big cut fouls off the sinker, 0-1. Daniel Zamora, the left-hander. Paul Sewald, the right-hander, getting busy in the Mets bullpen. Good slider by Handhold, and he's ahead on Taylor, 0-2.
Like most sinker ball pitchers, he's got a big, long arm action. That's how he gets that sink. But the slider's been spot on this inning.
See if Plawecki asks for another one. Couldn't get him to bite at it. 1-2.
That's just good hitting by Taylor. Good pitch.
Eric Handhold, just 24 years old, getting his first taste of big league action. Trying to get a big out in the 5th inning. 1-2 coming. Off the plate. 2-2. Austin Barnes would be next. Kemp at third, Freeze at second with 2 down. And Taylor goes down swinging, side retired. Eric Handhold with his first big league strikeout, and he strands 2 in scoring position. Nicely done. All right, Larry, and with the Braves falling to the Red Sox and Rick Porcello tonight, Phillies are just 3 games back of the Braves in the East. Jay Bruce leads off the 6th inning and takes a curveball out of the strike zone from Rich Hill. Bruce delivered a 2-run homer to open the scoring in the 2nd inning, his 5th home run of the year. And he fouls back the fastball 1-1. You know, when Rich Hill talks about his curveball, he talks about different shapes.
Yeah.
With his curveball. What exactly does he mean by that?
Well, I think we brought up the word axis before, A-X-I-S, and what I mean by that is the way he holds his curveball is how he can get the spin. So if he holds his curveball with an arm action like this, that's straight over the top, so he'll get that straight spin. If he holds it to the side, he'll get an axis that goes more of 2 to 8, and if he holds it down here, he'll get it more 3 to 9. That's what he does. But what's unique about Hill to me, he's the only guy I've ever heard that tries to pitch up in the zone with his strike zone, up in the strike zone with his fastball, and wants the curve to come out of the same place. So he doesn't mind if he throws a curveball that's up in the zone because it's coming out of the same place as his fastball. So it's 2 different looks at a level that the hitter is seeing. So when it leaves as a fastball, it's up in the zone, and you see his curveball. He just uses that one middle finger, and it's kind of that spike curveball, and it has as good of rotation as any in the game. But the pitch with your curveball off your high fastball, I'd never heard before.
Hooked on the ground. Dozier with the 1-hopper. Throws out Bruce one away. I mean, that is unusual, right? Because anytime a pitcher throws a curveball, the last thing he wants is to leave it up in the zone. The feeling is that he has hung the curveball.
That's right. So I'd never heard that before until he talked about it. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't throw the one that he bounces or throws the one that is down at the feet of the hitters, but he does use it as one of his weapons, that if he's getting away with that high fastball, occasionally he wants to throw the curveball out of the safe spot. It's pretty cool.
Here's Plawecki, who has struck out on 3 pitches each of his first 2 at-bats. He fouls back a first pitch fastball this time. So Hill, since getting the lead, has not allowed another base runner. Got the side in order in the 5th before retiring Bruce to start the 6th. Dodgers will keep the bullpen busy behind him. Pedro Baez is up. Oh, at 94 pitches for the night. Plawecki carves 1 foul, and it's 0-2. Final game of the series on the road trip tomorrow. It's a 4:30 local time start, 7:30 Eastern time, so our coverage begins at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Mets and Dodgers right here on SNY. Mets are 4-3 on this trip. Chance for a winning road trip.
You and I get to the park about the same time. What time are we leaving for the ballpark tomorrow?
All right. Well, we got to work backwards.
Okay.
Right? Normally for a 7 o'clock game, try and get there around 3.
Right.
So for a 4:30 game, that would be 12:30, but probably more like 1.
Okay.
So we'll leave for the ballpark at noon because it takes an hour to get here. Here's the 1-2 coming. And Plawecki gets under one into shallow left center. And it's Taylor taking charge of it for the 2nd out. 6 in a row retired by Hill. Well, the Dodgers are going to need to win tonight to keep pace in the West. The Rockies scored 5 in the 7th, got 11 strikeouts from German Marquez, and they beat the Giants 6-2. And the Diamondbacks are up 6-0 on the Padres. That game is in the 7th. It's Robbie Ray for the Diamondbacks tonight. When Robbie Ray is healthy, to go with Zach Greinke and Patrick Corbin in that Diamondbacks rotation, that's a pretty good trio.
I'm not sure that the Arizona team's offense is as strong as these other 2 teams, but watch out if they get in the postseason. Corbin, Greinke, and if Robbie Ray is at his best.
It would appear, though, that their secret weapon out of the bullpen is not quite as devastating as he was earlier this year or last year. I'm talking about Archie Bradley.
That's right.
He may not hit a triple in the postseason either. Half swing, and Nimmo went around. That's 1-2.
I had Pollock and Ahmed. I'm talking about the offense of Arizona. 6 for their last 57 coming into this game. But Archie Bradley was almost perfect last year as a setup man. A guy could go 2 innings, but he's been used a lot this year.
And of course, he had back-to-back game-winning hits against him here in LA. Nimmo takes strike 3 called, and Hill is through 6. That's his 8th strikeout. 5-4 LA. Again through 6 innings, but he has done so, and with the lead. Max Muncy is going to bat for Austin Barnes, leading off in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, with the abundance of players, 10 players on the bench for Dave Roberts, he's going to take advantage of it here down against Handhold.
Barnes had himself quite a night. A 2-run homer in the 3rd. He reached on an error, stole a base, and scored a run in the 4th, but he's out in favor of Muncy, who has 31 home runs to his credit. Eric Handhold, his 2nd big league inning, got out of trouble in the 5th, and he misses low and away with a sinker for ball 1. Jock Peterson has come out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. Dodgers had an 11-man bench last night. They have a 10-man bench tonight because of the suspension that has taken Yasiel Puig away from Dave Roberts for 2 days. That goes back to Puig's shoving incident with Nick Hundley of the Giants. He had appealed the suspension. It was upheld, and so he's sitting tonight and tomorrow. Muncy started at 2nd base last night, went 0 for 3, but he's got 31 home runs this year in just 334 bats.
Yeah, he was the big out that DeGrom got to finish the 6th inning on a 3-2 count.
Sewald and Zamora stay on call in the Mets bullpen. And now a quick message from Citi.
Think fast.
What? Do what you wanna do.
1-2 coming to Muncy, and the slider low and in. 2-2. Checking scouting reports.
Throws a sinker, throws a slider, 95 plus. He's a big guy with an angle from top to bottom.
Here's the part that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dozier and Turner are looking at the video or the printouts on Handhold. Why would they just watch him pitch?
Well, exactly, and they can't have enough. I mean, how much information can they have on handholds? I just tried to look some up. I got nothing.
3-2 to Muncy, leading off the home sixth. And he skies one to left center. Jackson should have room. And puts it away, 1 out. So Muncy retired. Now Jock Peterson will pinch hit for Rich Hill. And Mickey Callaway pops out of the dugout as soon as Peterson is announced. And he'll bring in the left-hander to face him. So handhold done after an inning and a third in his big league debut. Job well done. Zamora coming in. We'll be right back. Ninth big league outing for Daniel Zamora. The Dodgers will respond by pinch hitting for the pinch hitter. And Kyle Farmer, a right-hand batter, will bat instead of Peterson. And the backdoor slider misses for ball 1. Kyle Farmer, whose big league career started last year, his first plate appearance. Dodgers were down in the game to their arch rivals, the Giants, in the 11th inning. And he came up and delivered a 2-run double to win the game. First game, first at bat, first plate appearance
against the Giants.
Against the Giants. So that got his career off to a nice start. And the slider in for a strike. Well, that's how many outs each relief pitcher gets, and as the decades have flipped by, the number gets smaller and smaller. Well, that may change now with Tampa Bay this year. Swing and a miss at a slider, 2-2. Their relievers now go 6 or 7 innings. It's the starter who's only goes 1 inning.
That's right. I mean, whenever you see those consecutive great innings or score, I mean, there's Jacob deGrom, there's Ryan Stanek, you know, because of his starts.
2-2 to Farmer, and the backdoor slider misses. 3-2. Zamora's last outing in San Francisco, he started well, got a couple of strikeouts, and then gave up a 2-run triple to Brandon Belt. And a couple of bumps in the road, but has been an interesting piece for the Mets since coming up. And he gets the backdoor slider in. He strikes out Farmer for the second out of the inning. He just keeps on throwing that pitch. And that's going to be the only man he faces, with Brian Dozier coming up. Mickey Callaway will make a September move and bring in a right-hander. Zamora out, Sewald in. 5-4 Dodgers. We'll be right back. First outing in a week for Paul Sewald.
Well, you guys probably talked about it in San Francisco, but they have really worked hard with Sewald to drop that arm angle. So it's going to be interesting for me to watch him here in September, what kind of difference it makes for Paul.
Facing Brian Dozier, who's 0 for 3 tonight, drove in a run on a force play his last time up. And he skies one out to right center. And Nimmo under it. That retires the side. So 3 pitchers get 3 outs for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th. We head for the 7th, still 5-4 LA. enjoying the game on the West Coast. Hope you're doing the same at home at 12:21 in the a.m. New battery in the game for the Dodgers. Yasmani Grandal will catch. Pedro Baez will pitch. Los Angeles native Dominic Smith will pinch hit.
Well, Baez was one of 6 relievers used by Dave Roberts last night. He was the first one used and just got an out.
Dom's first at bat since his latest recall, and he takes his home run cut and comes up empty. His last big league at bat came August the 22nd at Citi Field against the Giants. Hoping to get enough playing time to make an impression in September. And he takes the pitch high from Baez, 1-1. Rosario on deck, then Jackson. And Smith flies one out to right. And Kemp with plenty of room puts it away, 1 out. So Smith retired, 1 out in the 7th. And now Ahmed Rosario has been on base twice tonight with a walk and a double. Rich Hill went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Persevered after a very rough first 3 innings, but then retired his last 7 hitters before leaving for a pinch hitter. Slider from Baez to start off Rosario, 0-1.
I mean, he's always had the stuff. Baez. Hitters are only barely hitting over 200 off him in his career. Walks have always been the issue for Pedro.
Thought it was pace.
I know you called him the human rain delay. I didn't know he had that because that moniker is Mike Hargrove's,
Right.
isn't it?
Well, you know, that was back in an era when the game was played at a faster pace, and Mike Hargrove was the first guy who always stepped out of the batter's box and had to take more practice swings.
But I thought he owned that. Like, you couldn't give that to someone else.
But, you know, he's been retired long enough.
Oh, okay.
That the name could be recycled.
We'd call him 405 or something like that, Baez.
405?
That's the big highway here where everyone just sits on it forever.
That's good. Except outside of L.A., it might be hard for anybody to interpret it.
That's right.
I figured out, you know, it's not just that he takes a long time between pitches, it's that when he goes into the stretch position, he stops like 4 different times. Right? And so you think he's ready to pitch, and then it's another couple of beats before he's ready to go. I mean, watch, he gets a sign, gets the hands, then he raises them, then he lowers them. Popped up on the right side. Freese going back along the line and called off, and it lands, and it's foul. A huge break for the Dodgers.
Wow.
Because they got completely confused. Freese gave way, thought that Dozier had called for it. Dozier, I think, thought Kemp had called for it, and nobody caught it. And was it foul or wasn't it? And I think the Mets are going to challenge the call. We got a call last night, changed for the Dodgers from foul to fair in a similar neighborhood on a hot shot that was hit just past the umpire. This one was very close to the chalk. I didn't see chalk dust fly up, did you?
I did not, but if they ever replay this, boy, it looks like it could have caught a line. They ever replay this, and Rosario, if he was hustling, this could be a double.
Well, he wound up at second base.
He did, so he was hustling. That hit part of the line to me.
Awfully close.
You know, that was the Bermuda Triangle of 3 old players trying to catch a pop-up. That's what that was.
Well, I mean, Freese took the initial angle to it, but it was going to be a tough angle for him, and he gave way. The question is, who did he think he was giving way to? Dozier or Kemp? Kemp never got close to it, and Dozier didn't appear ever really tried to get to it.
Kerry, walk us through a couple things you learned today about the ball fair or foul past the umpire.
Well, remember last night, when the ball was hit down the line, Ryan Blakeney was the first base umpire, and he had to get out of the way, call it, and then the question was the ball behind him? That's as close as this one is. There might have been a little chalk there in that super slow motion shot. Anyway, what Mickey Callaway was told when he came out by the crew chief, Mark Wegner, is that while the rule says that it has to be behind an umpire to be a challengeable call, if the umpire has to get out of the way, which prevents him seeing the ball because the ball is coming toward him, even if it's not behind him, it's still challengeable. And they're going to call it a fair ball, and Rosario will get credit for a double. So the call is overturned, and the Mets have the tying run at second base, and Rosario's got his second double of the night.
Wow. Great hustle by the young shortstop.
Well, so the Mets take advantage of a little Dodger misadventure on the defensive end, just as the Dodgers got the decisive, the tie-breaking run in this game after the Mets kicked the ball around.
Well, inexperienced by Freese at first. He's played some first, but not a lot, so he couldn't get back there. In the shift, Dozier could not get over there in time, and Matt Kemp, we know, just does not run that great anymore from right field.
And now Jeff McNeil will bat for Austin Jackson to try and get that tying run home from second base. McNeil not starting tonight against the left-hander. Had a hit and was hit by a pitch last night, went 1 for 3. Dodger bullpen starting to scurry around now. And Caleb Ferguson, a left-hander, just now starting to throw. So it'll be Baez to stay in to face McNeil.
Ferguson will be getting ready for Conforto if it goes that far.
So Rosario with a pair of doubles tonight. Now has 23 two-base hits for the year. And he continues this outstanding road trip with a little help from his Dodger friends. Now McNeil with the tying run at second and 1 out. And Jeff takes a first pitch fastball away for ball 1. McNeil starts the night hitting at .323. Through his first 127 big league at bats, 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter. Batting here for Jackson. It's now with 8 hits on the night. And McNeil takes a strike. 1-1. Wilmer Flores waiting on deck. Mets had a 4-0 lead in this game after home runs by Bruce and Conforto against Rich Hill, but the Dodgers stormed back with 2 in the third, 3 in the fourth to take the lead, and now Baez trying to make it stand up. And McNeil gets jammed and rolls one down to first. Freese will take it himself for the second out as Rosario goes to third. So 2 out. Tying run on third, and Wilmer Flores will try and get it in. Wilmer's 1 for 3 tonight, single to center back in the third, scored in front of Conforto's home run. Baez takes the moment to take a stroll. In no particular hurry. What was the Chuck Berry song? With no particular place to go?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good thing here is that it doesn't matter how hard you throw. Wilmer can turn it up a notch. Never beat by velocity.
He's 2 for 3 in his career against Baez, including a hit last night. And he has to turn out of the way of an inside fastball. Wilmer's hit against Baez last night was not a thing of beauty, a little bloop to right field, but nonetheless, that result would work out just fine for the Mets here. And Wilmer bounces one toward the middle of the diamond. Machado on the move, throws it wide, but the tag made by Freese, and Flores is out, and the inning is over. Well, David Freese Not all that experienced at first base, but it makes a fine play here to come off the bag and get the tag on Wilmer. And that prevents the tying run from scoring. Nice save by the former third baseman. 5-4, seventh inning stretch. Changes for the Mets. Dominic Smith stays in the game at first base. Jeff McNeil stays in at second. Brandon Nimmo moves from right field to center field. Jay Bruce moves from first base to right field. And the new pitcher, Corey Oswalt, will hit in the number 3 spot in the order as Flores came out.
Oswalt had a nice comeback inning, or 2 outs in Chicago when he did not give up a run. Remember, he was involved in that game where the Mets gave up 14 in the last 2 innings.
Justin Turner leads off. First pitch breaking ball hit to right center. Nimmo goes back in the gap and he can't get it. It hops up against the wall. Turner to second. He'll stop there with a double. First pitch by Corey Oswalt. Turner slices one away just beyond the reach of Nimmo. And the Dodgers have a runner at second with nobody out.
Breaking ball in the middle of the plate. The way he hit that, you're right, it did slice away from Nimmo and just out of his reach. Just has that big leg kick, side swing, and look at that extension through the baseball.
21st double of the year for Turner. And now Manny Machado, who's 1 for 3 tonight. So instant trouble for Oswalt. 8th hit of the night for the Dodgers. And Machado drives one to right center. That'll go up the gap to the wall. And after 2 pitches from Oswalt, the Dodgers have a run. Back-to-back doubles from Turner and Machado. It's 6-4 LA. Well, that didn't take long.
No, it did not. Your 2 best players in the middle of the lineup take it upon themselves to back-to-back doubles for a run. You can throw him the fastball away, but not up. It's got to be down.
So now the Dodgers with a 2-run lead and looking for more with Matt Kemp coming up. Kemp had a base hit to right field his last time up, 1 for 3 on the night. And Dave Roberts, I think, wants to send in a pinch runner for Machado.
But he decided against it, I think.
I think he was asking Machado whether he needed a runner.
Yeah.
No what would be ailing Machado that he would need a base runner. But they're going to leave him in. And Oswalt gets first pitch curveball in for a strike. Oswalt from just down the road in San Diego. This is with a breaking ball, and it's 1-1. He got all amped up when he faced the Padres at Citi Field.
That's right.
Now pitching at Dodger Stadium for the first time. And that goes to the backstop. Machado to third, takes a turn and rolls away from Plawecki. He's going to try to score, and he does. Machado scores from second base on a wild pitch, and it's 7-4 LA.
I don't know if Plawecki couldn't find it, or
he just didn't show much urgency going back for it.
He didn't run after it. He thought it would just, he assumed it would bounce back to him. It bounced back towards the Mets dugout, and it cost him a run. Good hustle by Machado. Luckily, they didn't pinch run for him.
I guess he didn't need one. So 2 runs home in the inning. Nobody on, 2-1 to Kemp, and he fouls back the fastball.
Well, he gets a nice jump as he sees the ball close past. Didn't run that hard till he saw that Plawecki didn't go after the ball.
So that ball took a right turn along the side, the end wall there, and Machado scored easily.
Dodgers have been taking advantage of some miscues all night.
Oswalt buries one in the dirt, and it's 3-2. 7 unanswered runs for the Dodgers after the Mets had a 4-0 lead. Seems like a long time ago. 3-2 to Kemp. And he walked him. So Oswalt's difficult inning gets no better. Back-to-back doubles, a wild pitch, and now a walk. And now David Freese coming up. We'll get a pinch runner for Kemp. Tim Locastro will come in to run for Kemp. Dave Roberts still has 5 players left on his bench. Here's David Freese, who's homered and been hit by a pitch, 1 for 2 tonight. So Locastro with excellent speed at first, and Oswalt will chase him back.
18 stolen bases in Oklahoma City this year.
He's got 1 stolen base in the big leagues this year. And the fastball at the knees for a strike to Freese, 0-1. Castro runs. Plawecki's throw is a good one, but Locastro gets the hand in. His second stolen base.
Fastball inside for a strike. Plawecki with the quick delivery, but because it was on the other side of the base, Locastro sliding to the outside part of second base ensures his safety.
Locastro, an upstate New York kid, stealing a base against his home state team. 0-2 to Freese. And the breaking ball hit down the right field line, and that's a fair ball. It's going to go to the corner and bring in a run. The third double of the inning. Locastro in to score. Freese with an RBI double. His second run batted in of the night, and the Dodgers are pulling away. It's 8-4.
Just hanging, breaking ball. And it hit right at the cutout where the grass hits the warning track and gets it to the corner.
Dave Island out to talk to Oswalt, who's faced 4 batters, given up 3 doubles and a walk with a wild pitch in between. Jacob Rame will get up, preparing perhaps to face the team that traded him away. But first, Oswalt's inning will continue against Kike Hernandez. Still nobody out. Hernandez 1 for 3 tonight, and an infield hit in the 4th and scored a run. There have been some nightmarish times for the underbelly of the Mets bullpen. You mentioned the game against the Nats when they gave up 14 runs in the last 2 innings. Something the Mets had never done before, but this has been an all too frequent occurrence. Games getting out of hand when the guys other than Lugo and Gazelman and Blevins are in the game.
I was just going to say, it would be interesting to see the numbers when you take those guys' numbers out of the equation.
If it makes you feel any better, Jerry's Familia walked in the tying run tonight for the A's. 1-1 to Hernandez. And that's on the corner for a strike, 1-2. The Yankees have got in front of the A's 3-1 as they play in the 8th in Oakland, after Oakland won the first game of that series yesterday. Chris Taylor on deck. It's not often that you have both New York teams playing on the West Coast at the same time. That's a lot of late night viewing. 1-2 coming, and Hernandez fouls it at the plate.
It's Ian Happ pitching for the Yankees, 5-0, and in his 6 starts, the Yankees are 5-1. Having another good game tonight.
Final in Arizona, the Diamondbacks shut out the Padres 6-0. Robbie Ray, no runs, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts to get his 5th win after missing the substantial portion of the season. So the Diamondbacks have won, the Rockies have won. Now the Dodgers try to keep pace with both of them. Breaking ball lined into center field. Hernandez has a base hit. That'll bring in Freese with the 4th run of the inning. 9-4 LA. And Oswalt just can't get anybody out.
Another breaking ball. Just catching too much in the middle of the plate. And that'll be it for Oswalt.
So Jacob Rame will be the 7th Met pitcher of the night, coming in to pitch in the 7th inning. 9-4 LA. We'll be right back.
Had a few Mets pitchers with butterflies in this game tonight.
Well, Corey Oswald faced 5 batters, didn't retire any of them. Gave up 4 hits and a walk, 4 runs against him so far. And now Chris Taylor will be the first man to face Rame. He flies one out to right. Bruce coming over, and it lands for a base hit. Hernandez goes first to third, the 5th hit of the inning for the Dodgers, as Taylor dunks one in along the line.
Boy, every ball off the end of the bat to right field against both teams has looked like a short base hit. And the read by Hernandez. He's a good base runner. He's a good ball player.
So now runners at the corners, still nobody out, and Cody Bellinger will pinch hit for the Dodgers. Batting for the pitcher, Baez. Bellinger started last night, went 2 for 4. So the doors have come completely off this game for the Mets, and Bellinger pops one 7 miles high. Dom Smith in foul territory puts it away for the first out of the inning. It's one of those, if you hit it inside, it might have hit the roof.
There's a word that they use called the phrase big league pop-up. And I always say the reason they call it big league pop-up because even big leaguers are a little nervous when they stand under those pop-ups. That's how high they are.
It's like Gabby Street catching the ball off the Washington Monument. Right. So now Yasmani Grandal will bat for the first time. Came in after Barnes left for a pinch hitter. Grandal caught last night, went 0 for 3, drove on a run with a sacrifice fly. Grandal, the 8th man up in the inning. Brian Dozier on deck. 4 runs have scored in this 7th inning for LA. And Rame gets it over for a strike, 1-1. Jacob Rame was a 6th round draft pick for the Dodgers in 2013. Coming out of the University of Oklahoma. Traded last summer for Curtis Granderson, and it must be odd, right? Come up through a team's farm system, you always dream about pitching in that ballpark. And now finally getting a chance to do that, although in different circumstances. He runs one inside to Grandal, 2-2.
Certainly the younger players at least had to be teammates somewhere down the line, but the Dodgers have so many players from so many different organizations as far as their offense is concerned.
2-2 coming. That's drilled to right field toward the short wall, and it's off the fence. Hernandez is in. Taylor being waved home. The throw goes to second. Rosario steers it home, but not in time. So the Dodgers steal an extra run when the Mets throw to the wrong base. 2-run score on a single by Grandal. And it's 11-4. A 6-run inning for LA.
Well, a fastball right down the middle. Grandal jumped all over it. Almost hit it out of here. But when it rebounded off this wall, Jay Bruce has to throw it to the second baseman, the cutoff man, not the shortstop. The cutoff Grandal from a double. As soon as he picks this up, it should take Taylor out of play from scoring. But because he threw it to shortstop, it allowed Taylor to score.
So 2 RBIs for Grandal, and now Dozier grounds one to third, might be 2. Frazier to McNeil, and on to first, and the inning finally comes to an end. But 9 Dodgers came to bat, and 6 of them scored to blow the doors off this game. Taylor coming home with the 11th Dodger run. It's 11-4 after 7. Now can join us in the booth to call half an inning of a Mets game on SNY. Just go to sny.tv/KidCaster and enter your child's video audition for a chance to win the SNY 2018 KidCaster contest. Zach Rosscup will come on to pitch for the Dodgers as we go to the 8th.
He got an out last night. A ball game came in to face Conforto, and he'll come in to face Conforto again tonight.
Bunch of defensive changes for the Dodgers as well. There are so many changes.
Yes.
We have to update our graphic. First, we'll show you the line score. Mets had a 4-0 lead in this game, but the Dodgers have scored the last 11. Michael Conforto will lead off the 8th inning for New York. I'm laughing because they moved David Freese from first base to third base, and before a pitch is thrown, he's now playing second base because of the shift. So, why bother? Conforto takes, and it's off the bat into the glove, foul ball, 0-1. So Bellinger stays in the game at first. Hernandez moves from center field to short. Freese moves from first base to third base. Andrew Tolles is in to play center. Alex Verdugo is in to play right. So now you're up to date. The only two players who started the game and are in the same spots where they started: Dozier at second, Taylor in left.
Very good. Outstanding, Gary.
Conforto chases the slider from Rosscup, and it's 0-2. Well, Rich Hill was down in this game 4-0, but persisted through 6 innings. And now he looks very much in line for his 7th win of the year. Pedro Baez worked a scoreless 7th, but not without some angst. The Mets were within inches of tying the game, but for the play that Freese made coming off the bag at first and making a tag on Flores to keep a run from scoring would have tied the game. 1-2 to Conforto, with Frazier and Bruce to follow in the 8th. And Michael fouls back the fastball from Rosscup. 1-2. Conforto hit a 2-run homer back in the 3rd. At the time, it gave the Mets a 4-0 lead, his 21st home run of the year, and his 3rd on this road trip. And he goes down swinging on the slider, and Rosscup has a strikeout. 1 out in the 8th.
Just a hard slider by Rosscup. It's really what you're going to see when he faces the left-handed hitters.
So 1 out now, Todd Frazier, who has singled and doubled tonight, 2 for 3. Both of those came against the left-hander Rich Hill, and that's encouraging in that Frazier has had such a dreadful time against lefties this year. Came into the night hitting 158 against lefties. People's United Bank brings you tonight's starters. Early on, it looked like it was Hill who might take the early exit. Vargas was perfect for the first 2 innings, and then things went south. After 4 really good starts in a row, not a good one tonight for Jason. And that's on the corner to Frazier, a ball and a strike. Jay Bruce waiting on deck. The Mets 4 runs and 8 hits. The Dodgers 11 runs and 13 hits. And Frazier takes it high, 2 balls and a strike.
It was interesting when Machado hit the second double of the inning after Turner. He was on second base. Dave Roberts was thinking of running for him, and he kind of waved it off. He scored on the wild pitch. But if they were going to run for him, there must be something. He must have some nagging kind of injury going, because took him out with his great defense, and Hernandez is playing short.
Took him out, took Turner out. And Frazier down on strikes. So Rosscup with back-to-back strikeouts. I mean, Roberts began the night with 10 guys on his bench. He's down to 2. Chase Utley and Rocky Gale.
Oh, that's right.
Who has yet to make his Dodger debut. Extra catcher.
Been told he's like the Crash Davis of the Dodgers. Been around forever.
I think he played in the big leagues with the Padres, and that's where Dave Roberts knew him from. Here's Bruce, who had a 2-run homer back in the second. 1 for 3 on the night. And he smacks one into left center for a base hit. Tolles over to cut it off, and Bruce will stop at first base with a 2-out single. Second hit of the night for Jay. And the 9th for the Mets.
Well, the shift and the fastball away, which is against the shift. So nice hitting by Bruce. They're going to play you to pull, and you get a fastball up and away. Go that way. There's no one playing there.
So now Plawecki, who's 0 for 3, struck out twice and flied out. Coming up after the post game, it's Geico Sports Night. We'll have all the baseball, all the football, all the tennis, everything you might possibly want to know on Geico Sports Night if you care to stay up late with SNY. I just want to let everybody who is still watching at 1 a.m. in the East how much we appreciate their loyal viewership.
We really do.
Thank you for sticking with us. We promise to bring you some value-added entertainment over the last couple of innings of this game.
We could use some help from the guys in orange and blue, but if not,
you know, there's only so much that they can do. Ultimately, the broadcast belongs to us.
That's right.
We can go in any direction we'd like.
Okay, maybe help from the truck then.
Well, okay, well, here you go.
Okay.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Fios, the best way to watch your Mets all season long. Get the 100% fiber optic network. Visit getfios.com.
They're still here.
They're very happy to be here, too, apparently. Decked out in their Mets gear. And Roskopf misses high to Plawecki, 3-1. Well, the hoodie remains in place. He's had that red hoodie on since the first pitch of the game. He looks very comfortable. Neither one of us has donned the outerwear.
No, it happens to be beautifully mild right now.
And there's strike 3 and 2 to Plawecki. Well, the nice thing about a Southern California evening like this, it's only 68 degrees. It's not particularly warm, but there's no wind. The wind is still. Officially, it's like 1 mile an hour or 2 miles an hour. And it's like that every evening here.
We're right in a beautiful little basin here, you know.
3-2, and Plawecki yanks one foul.
The Griffith Park Hills are around us.
Chavez Ravine, former goat pasture.
Some kind of vision, wasn't it?
Well, it's certainly real estate, had it not been claimed by Walter O'Malley, would be worth billions upon billions today. I guess it is anyway.
It is.
Bruce will run from first, 3-2 to Plawecki, and he checks his swing. He went around, strike 3, side retired. Roskopf strikes out 3 in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th with the lights of LA, 11-4. This is in the tunnel on the way to the clubhouse. Got the logos of all the visiting teams, including the Montreal Expos, who don't come here anymore.
That's right. And those are the bats are in front of the old clubhouse where I used to change when I was a player.
Jacob Rames stays out there for the bottom of the 8th. Andrew Tolles up for the first time, fouls back a fastball. Jack Reinheimer is coming to play shortstop to give Ahmed Rosario a breather after another multiple hit game for Rosario. Tolles had a pinch hitting appearance last night and struck out, and he takes the pitch high, a ball and a strike.
The way the clubhouse is set up now, it's kind of strange. Like you come in and you walk through the players' food room before you get to the locker room. So I always feel like I'm not in the right place.
Well, the old clubhouse here was very small.
Tiny. Each locker had this, like, I don't know, kind of fence, chain link kind of thing in between each locker. It felt, if you're Catholic, like a confessional.
What I remember, honestly, about the Dodger Stadium visiting clubhouse, this will seem odd to you. Tolles strikes out for the first out in the bottom of the 8th. I don't know if you remember this, but in 1991, when you were traded to the Expos,
yeah,
you were with them for about 3 weeks, and I happened to be assigned to an Expos Dodgers game for CBS Radio.
Okay.
And I came into the visitors clubhouse when you were there with the Expos, and I remember talking to you and the stunned look on your face. It was about a week after you were traded.
Well, let me tell you this. I don't even remember you talking to me.
Well, there you go. That's how stunned you were.
Oh, I didn't even know where I was, to tell you the truth.
It was a bizarre experience, I'm sure, for you. What were we there for, about 3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah. Because it was supposed to be like a 3-team trade, but it didn't work out that way right away. And then it did. But I remember the last time I was in a Mets uniform in that clubhouse was the same year, right before I was traded. And I gave up a walk-off home run in the 13th or 14th inning or whatever to, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Gonzalez.
Jose Gonzalez.
So I'm not sure, but he was a great athlete and an outfielder, and he took me deep. And I remember sitting outside that locker room, and I was so stunned that I, made a huge mistake and walked off, and I was in the bullpen, stunk, all those things you do at the end of your tenure. I remember sitting out there, and the team left, the bus left, and I was still in my uniform, and it was 2 hours after the game. I couldn't move. I was like catatonic. I don't know why we had let those things affect us so much.
Chase Utley, maybe for the last time against the Mets. I mean, there's a possibility he could be in the lineup tomorrow against Zach Wheeler, but this could be the last time the Mets and Utley ever tangle. He's going to be retiring after the year. One day after his former Phillies teammate Ryan Howard announced his retirement. So the old gang is
They'll be all officially retired. I mean, the Rollins, 3 main ones. Right? Yeah. They're retiring just as the Phillies are getting good again. Gray hair, but the body looks the same, doesn't it?
39 years old. And he fouls back a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
You like to see that. It's a veteran player who's been asked to get off his feet. He could certainly take it in the clubhouse and kind of chill, and he's still on the bench with his teammates. That's a leader.
It lays off, and it's 3-2. And Utley pops one foul back and out of play.
If it wasn't for the Tejada play, how would Utley be viewed? by Mets fans.
I don't think he would have been beloved.
No, I'm not saying beloved, but respected.
You know, I think Chipper Jones was respected.
Okay, all right.
But Utley never really gave of himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not that kind of player.
So serious. Here's ball 4, and Utley's on. I mean, Chipper had fun with it. The fact that he was a Met killer.
Yeah.
I don't think Utley has the same kind of fun.
Yeah, he's always been a serious player.
Well, he's on first base, which, you know, just hope there aren't any untoward hard slides into second.
It's 11-4.
David Freese overhead, a big night, had a home run in the 4th, an RBI double in the 7th. Mets are not going to hold against Utley. It's on the corner to Freese, 1-1. I just looked up the record. You made 3 starts for Montreal.
Yeah. Well, 3 of the worst starts. Some of the worst starts I ever had in my life.
1 at home and 2 in California. 1 in San Diego, 1 in San Francisco.
Gave up. I mean, I must have given up 4 or 5 home runs in 3 starts, maybe more.
6.
6, because they gave up 4 in one game.
4 in San Francisco.
Oh,
there you are as an Expo. See, they loved you though in Montreal because you could speak French.
I know, but
and there are so few players who could do that.
All I could say was home run in French. Apparently for the 3 starts.
Circuit.
It was a. It was. I don't know. You know, I just been a Met for so long that it was just awkward. That's what it was.
Freese strikes out to end the inning. Second strikeout for Rame, and we're heading for the 9th in Los Angeles with the Mets down by 7.
That's one of those bad pictures.
That's a lovely effect there.
Yeah, time lapse, right?
Veteran right-hander Josh Fields on to pitch the 9th inning for the Dodgers. Brandon Nimmo leads off for New York, and Brandon takes inside for ball 1.
Fields has been out most of the year. He's on the 60-day DL with right shoulder inflammation, so trying to pitch himself back into shape.
One-time first-round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners. He's pitched in the big leagues for Houston and LA. And it's hit toward the middle, and Nimmo's got a base hit, his second of the night. So the Mets have a leadoff man on in the ninth. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Why are you chuckling?
I just love our live streaming promo at 1:15.
Well, if you happen to be out and about right now, you know, the city never sleeps.
That is true.
I mean, think about all the folks that are watching the game and then might be heading out when the game's over.
You've had a good night out in the city. You've just gotten your Uber. You're going back to Queens, and you live stream it. Okay, I got it.
You know, I can recall being of a certain age and going to see Blondie do the 2 a.m. set at Max's Kansas City.
Oh yeah, well.
So you know, those things happen.
Happen? How about happen way too often?
Nothing to Dom Smith up for the second time. He flied out in his at bat in the seventh.
I saw the Ramones play at CBGB's about that same time, Gary. Maybe a little later, to tell you the truth.
Television at CBGB.
Right.
Richard Hell and the Voidoids. Line toward the middle, and Dom Smith has a base hit. So the Mets with back-to-back hits to start the ninth inning. So Dom's got a base hit in his hometown.
So Dom, before the game, there was a lot of people behind the cage, and he was greeting lots of folks with hugs today from a lot of his friends. You know, I remember that was one of the great things about coming to California when I played for the Mets. We had so many California players that you get to meet their whole family. They would allow them to, after the game, to come down to the dugout, and we'd all get to say hi and shake their hands and get to meet them. And that's my sister, that's my brother. It was a very cool family event.
Jack Reinheimer batting for the first time. And Fields really struggling here in the ninth. Well, it is ever thus. There is such a large percentage of major league players who come from Southern California. Jack Reinheimer, an East Coast guy, takes inside 2-0. Born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina.
All the Southern California kids, they all wanted to play here too, right? I would think. Or some of them that are Angels fans. But there's something about playing in this uniform, in this building.
3-0 now to Reinheimer. Jeff McNeil on deck. The Dodgers are going to get the switch pitcher, Pat Venditti, up in the bullpen. I've already seen him throw righty and lefty during his warm-ups. He's got that glove that he can put on either hand.
Does he need more, like double the time to get ready?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. I don't think we've ever actually seen him in a game, have we?
I never have.
And there's a strike, 3-1. He's working on his left-handed tosses right now because he's got McNeil on deck.
He's looking at Mark Pryor. Mark Pryor's like, you throw with both hands. I got nothing for you.
Pryor only used one. Is right. Reinheimer fouls it off. Now Pryor had been able to throw left-handed. Might have had a second career.
A second chance.
After his arm betrayed him.
Boy, he was good.
And what they said was he'll never get hurt. He has perfect mechanics. I guess they were wrong.
Well, there's no perfect mechanics. That's the deal. When you see the pronation of Max Scherzer, you're like, how does he do it?
3-2 coming, and Reinheimer takes it high, and the bases are loaded. So the Mets have some life, down by 7 runs in the ninth. And how much of this will Dave Roberts watch?
Like I said,
all trudging out to talk to Field.
Yeah, like I said before, you know, he's been out for a lot of the year, hurt right shoulder, and you know, just not in proper pitching shape yet.
Well, Benditti's still working on the left, and now he'll switch off and throw with the right.
This is fantastic. Now, does he throw from the side from the right? Yes, he does. So the same from both ways.
And here comes Dave Roberts, and after a little bit of stalling, the switch pitcher will be coming in. I don't think I've ever written switch pitcher on my scorecard before. So Pat Venditti will bring his unique brand of pitching into the game, trying to close things out for the Dodgers. The SHP. Who is unique in that he is a legit switch pitcher. Will come on to pitch in the 9th inning.
He's going to face McNeil first, so he's going to pitch left-handed. I guess you have the same stats. Doesn't matter what hand you throw with. And he's got the double hinged gloves, so he can pitch righty or lefty.
Originally drafted by the Yankees out of Creighton University. He's pitched for Oakland, Toronto, Seattle. He's never really stuck in the big leagues. He'll pitch left-handed against Jeff McNeil, who takes a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1.
Hasn't really stuck here either. He's been up and down 8 times.
Now, what'll be interesting is that Jose Reyes is out on deck, and by rule, Venditti is going to have to declare which arm he's going to pitch with to Reyes, so the game doesn't become a travesty, right? Where he throws left and Reyes gets him in right-handed, and then they switch around. They've worked that out a few years ago, that Venditti has to declare which way he's going to pitch, and then the hitter will declare which way he'll hit. But first, McNeil with the bases loaded and nobody out. McNeil grounded out and is only at bat in the 7th. And he takes just off the plate. 1-1. Venditti's got that unique double hinged glove, so he can switch it back and forth from his right hand to his left hand and use it either way. So it's got a hinge on each side. And this is inside, 2-1. Now the Mets had a pitcher, Greg Harris.
That's right.
Who could throw with each hand.
But you know, he wasn't. I mean, Venditti has more in his stuff than Harris did.
Right. Harris was a right-hander who could throw lefty.
Yeah.
And And McNeil lays off, and now it's 3-1. So McNeil not going out of the strike zone for that breaking ball. Nimmo at third, Smith at second, Reinheimer at first with nobody out as the Mets try and build an unlikely rally in the ninth. And Kenley Jansen is now up in the Dodger bullpen, so it's getting serious. And McNeil skies it on the infield. Infield fly rule will be invoked. The batter is out, and Dozier squeezes it one away. Now Reyes is being called back into the dugout.
Well, he has to switch his helmet and his guard.
So Venditti is going to throw right-handed, so Reyes has to switch his helmet and come up with the left-hand helmet.
Yep.
It's fascinating.
It is.
It's a piece of the game that never existed until Venditti came along.
I mean, you've been doing games for 30 years.
Never seen it.
Never seen it. I've never seen it either. Only thing I've ever seen unusual is there was a pitcher in the Cape Cod League when I was there who could throw pitches underhanded, like the softball pitchers, like at 85, 90 miles an hour.
So Reyes bats with the bases loaded and one out. And he takes outside from Venditti. See any difference in the arm angle from this side?
A little bit. He's a little. He's dropped down a little more from the left side than he is the right side. More 3/4 from the right side.
Looks like he throws a little harder right-handed too.
Sinker, slider, more slider from the left side. Sinker, slider from the right side, mostly slider from the left. I mean, you want this guy to make it somehow, some way.
Well, he's now 33 years old. He's kicked around a ton. And he throws the breaking ball to get ahead on Reyes, 1-2.
That breaking ball never got there. Like an Ephus pitch.
Michael Conforto on deck, so Venditti will go back to the left hand for him. 1-2 to Reyes, and he struck him out. So Venditti came in with the bases loaded and nobody out. He got a pop-up from McNeil. He strikes out Reyes, and the Mets are down to their final out. And it's left to Conforto, who's 1 for 4 tonight, a 2-run homer back in the third. At the time, it gave the Mets a 4-0 lead. Dodgers scored 2 in the third, 3 in the fourth, and then 6 in the seventh to blow the game open. And now Conforto takes a left-handed breaking ball for a strike. So Venditti went left against McNeil, right against Reyes, and now back to the left against Conforto. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Conforto rockets one out to right field. Back goes Verdugo onto the track to make the catch. And that retires the side, and the ball game is over. So Venditti comes in and gets the final 3 outs. And the Mets, after building a 4-0 lead, see this game get away. As Vargas got knocked out in the fourth, the Dodgers tacked on against the Mets bullpen, and the Dodgers even up the series at a game apiece, winning tonight 11-4.
Well, with all the home runs and missed plays and offense by the Dodgers, I'll still always remember this as the Venditti game. But Dodgers had to have this game. And after getting down by 4 runs after two-run homers by the Mets, Rich Hill stuck his nose in there, and the offense of the Dodgers came alive.
Game summary presented by Fios. Bruce and Conforto with 2-run homers to give the Mets the early lead, but the Dodgers came storming back Austin Barnes a 2-run homer, David Freese a home run, and the Dodgers pull away and win it 11-4. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Fios, the best way to watch your Mets all